The following advertisement has been paid for by the big guy Ryback. Are you hungry? You know I'm so hungry, big guy. Hey, Mark, what brings you here? So I'm just here to hang out with my all-time favorite superstar of all time. What brings you here? Well, I'm doing a paid advertisement for Feed Me More Nutrition, available at feedmemore.com. Big guy, that is music to my ears. Do you tell the people about your Ice So Hungry grass-fed whey protein isolate, the best tasting protein on the market? Wake Up Unlimited Energy, the strongest pre-workout on the market, and the big guy all-natural testosterone booster, my personal fave. Big guy, you're on to something with this Feed Me More Nutrition. It is some top quality stuff. Well, thank you, Mark. It is Feed Me More Nutrition, premium quality, the highest quality supplements on the market today. Available now at feedmemore.com. But wait, there's more. Just for being a listener of Conversation with the Big Guy, you can now save 10%. That's right, save 10% at feedmemore.com on all Feed Me More merchandise and apparel and Feed Me More Nutrition with discount code PODCAST10. PODCAST10. Podcast 10. Thank you, guys.
Ladies and gentlemen, and right now, I'd like to introduce a guy who lost his smile, a guy who took his brand and walked away from millions of dollars. He hails from Sin City. Damn it! That's enough for you two! Shut up! You're I think he said we're fired. Shut up! Pat, slap my ass! It's time for Conversation with the Big Guy, pal!
Welcome to Conversation with the Big Guy. I am the Big Guy Ryback, and I'm sitting here with the one, Pat Bahh.
I knew that was coming this time. I was prepared for it. Hey, everybody, welcome to Conversation with the Big Guy. We're back with another action-packed episode. I believe this is for the upcoming, dare I say, Wrestlemania Wrestlecon week. But before we talk about that, I think you may have some things that you wanna mention.
Oh yeah, we always like to stick to the format here. Sometimes we stray a little, but we'll stick to it this week. And Feed Me More Nutrition Guides is available at feedmemore.com. Also available at allpumpyouup.com. And if you're in the Las Vegas region or Las Vegas Valley, at Spartan Nutrition in North Las Vegas and Pumped Up Fitness Nutrition on Sahara and Rainbow. All fan mail for the Big Guy Ryback. Please send to P.O. Box 752-740, Las Vegas, Nevada 89136. Which reminds me I got to go check that tomorrow before I drive over to California. Big 8-hour road trip this week. Wake Up, It's Feeding Time, the motivational book by the Big Guy Ryback, is now available on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, and Audible form. Also for Audible, check out audibletrial.com/Big Guy. Your first book is free on a 30-day trial. You could use it to maybe check out Wake Up, It's Feeding Time. And then on that, I'll get to the matches here this week, Pat. We got WrestlePro March 30th, bell time at 8:30 at the Wyndham Hotel. I repeat, at the Wyndham Hotel. The following nights, WrestleCon meet and greet at the big signings there on the 31st and the 1st from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Hyatt Regency. I repeat, WrestleCon at the Hyatt Regency from 10 to 3 with Fake News Bennett and the Big Guy. Come on out, guys. We'll be there all day. And then let me see here what else I got. Later in the show, we're also going to be talking about my ketosis diet. You know whose menu is keto friendly, Pat?
Whose menu?
El Pollo Loco. That's right. Their fire-grilled, juicy rotisserie chickens have 0 carbs and dip perfectly in their keto-friendly, one-of-a-kind avocado salsa or their red-hot salsa roja. Not on a keto diet? Not a problem. El Pollo Loco has many healthy carb-friendly selections with a choice of regular or wheat tortillas. But big guy, there isn't an El Pollo Loco where I live. Well, too fucking bad. For the rest of you, El Pollo Loco. Fuck yeah.
Nothing's going to save that company.
Invest in their stock too, guys. It's gone up about 50 cents this week. Their head CEO is stepping down. Okay. So and the stock has slowly started rising the last week. And
I hope they replace him with the robot from Simpsons that just kind of goes up and down and presses the button in Homer's place.
All I want to do is just do my Incredible Hulk commercial with El Pollo Loco, where it's when I'm hungry, I'm angry. It's the most simplest thing. When I'm angry, I scream, feed me more, and only El Pollo Loco can cure the incredible big guy. It's like, I pitch that to them. I desperately want it. I want El Pollo Loco to succeed. And I want you, the listener, to want El Pollo Loco to succeed too, guys.
Oh, boy. Is that all you got?
That's it.
All right. Plugs. 1 week away, or dare I say Thursday, 4 second-row seats are available at WrestlePro at WrestleCon. You can get your tickets at WrestleCon.com. You can see Ryback versus Colt Cabana. He just talked about this, but I got to talk about this again because this is all my money. And I want to make sure that I'm not going to walk into oncoming Orlando traffic the next day. I need your support, guys. Come out, WrestleCon.com. Quick little funny side story before I continue on the plugs. I actually, a few weeks ago, I was checking the ticket sales for that, and I don't have direct access. So I checked the ticket sales by going to actually buy the tickets, seeing how many have been, marked off. And to my surprise, there was 519 tickets sold. I don't know if I told you this. And I was like, holy shit. I'm impressed. Like, there's only really about 700 floor seats, and I already sold 519 of them. I told Kevin Matthews. I think I told Keenan. And then when I inquired with High Spots, which is the one running the show, or they're the ones overseeing the different ones, they're like, oh, no, we blacked out the last 3 rows to make people buy the first couple ones.
Oh.
Needless to say, at this point, realistically, we're approaching the 350 mark. 1,500 is a sellout. I know it's a walk-up crowd, and it should do great.
I'm advertising heavily on Facebook, so I really think you're going to do really good. You always do. I wouldn't be shocked to see it sold out. 1,500 is the capacity, right?
Yes, it is.
I think you're going to get people down there. You're going to have the WWE fans in town. And they're going to see that there's a big wrestling show. There's a lot of big wrestling shows. But, hopefully they see me on the poster and they realize, oh, Ryback's here, and they come on out.
We'll talk about that in a bit. But, Ryback, what's your favorite color?
Blue or red? Why?
Well, mine is blue, as in BlueApron.com. It's the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Blue Apron achieves this by supporting more sustainable food systems, setting the highest standards for ingredients, and building a community of home chefs. Because Blue Apron ships the exact amount of each ingredient required for recipe, they are reducing food waste. Salmon piccata with orzo and broccoli, pork chops with miso butter, and bok choy and marinated apple. It's a very special deal, so what you need to do is go to blueapron.com/conversations with an S. Again, blueapron.com/conversations with an S. Put in the code conversations. Get your first 3 meals with shipping for free. No risk here. Get this delicious food. Enjoy Blue Apron. You'll love how good it feels, how it tastes. Blueapron.com, a better way to cook.
Wow.
I wanted to sneak that in. I wanted to sneak those in there and impose doing a post.
Ah, you got me. I had no idea what you were doing with that. So, as you had no idea before with the El Pollo Loco. But,
because of our good friends at El Pollo Loco and Blue Apron, please go to podcast.study. It helps us out with the advertising. Brian Byrne, you're the only person this week that messaged me on Twitter.
Thank you, buddy.
So a lot of you guys, thank you. Also, Nate from Takedown Piracy, we're awaiting you. We need you because there's a lot of people out there. If you're listening to the show on YouTube or one of those hack sites, don't do it. Subscribe, listen, rate, review. But do it through the official way. It really helps out this show and keeps us providing content for free. Yeah. My last plug is actually for my wife, who's a teacher in the South Bronx. She works in the poorest congressional district in the country, a special needs teacher of the 2nd into 3rd grade. She has a Donors Choose project, donorschoose.org/Elshay. This is to raise $850 so they can buy new books for their classroom, all about ocean animals such as octopuses, manatees, and all that stuff. That's their subject coming up. It's a tax write-off, but look that up or go to donorschoose.com, look up Mrs. Shea Buck, and help a good cause. And that's all I got.
Very cool. I'm actually there's a nice woman helping me on Twitter who lives in Las Vegas that got the meat, because I mentioned to you before, and I mentioned it on Snapchat, that the Las Vegas Rescue Mission for feeding the homeless, we're setting up a donation link onto the website where I'll match. It'll be $1 to $5 or $1 to $10, and for every donation I will match that. But they're officially getting it all set up here, and where the people will get the tax forms if they donate, where proper doing the proper measures and to know that the money is going where they are sending it. Because sometimes you never know, like, is the money going to this cause and whatnot. So I'm really excited in the upcoming weeks to get that all ironed out here and all worked out. Just because feed me more is pretty fucking selfish. So try to do something for to feed others as well as feed myself.
All right. So how was your week this week?
Good week. It's been really, really busy. As always, I'm leaving. I drive tomorrow. After I'll probably leave here 4 or 5 in the afternoon, an 8.5 hour drive to Northern California for the shows up there for this weekend that we'll talk about next week.
I'm confused. You can leave your house at 4 or 5 o'clock and not have any traffic?
I'm driving to California on a Friday. Thursday. Sorry, it shouldn't be bad at all. I might get hit with a little bit getting out of Vegas. But as far as once I hit that California, the I-15 goes all the way through, pretty much straight through. But I got to actually go to Northern Cali. That's going to LA, so it should be fine. Worst case scenario is if I drive 5 or 6 hours and have to drive a couple the next day. You know what I mean? Sure. So but I'll get in probably anywhere from 12 to 1 in the morning and just listen to audiobooks. And I downloaded a few new ones for this week and whatnot. But had a good week last week wrestling. Got to see Cody. Got to see Matt Hardy. Always nice to see them. And
that was Port Jervis, right?
Yeah, hell of a turnout. Big Mike runs a fine operation.
For those of you listening, that's Mike Lombardi now for NEW Northeast Wrestling. People don't really understand this guy draws massive houses in the upper New York, Connecticut type area. Yeah. He does very well for himself. He's
probably got the best ring that I've been in out on the independents. Also, he keeps his ring. It's the 8. Your ring is nice. It's just a 16-foot. I like the 8. I like 20 to be honest, but.
You do not like the 16-foot rings, man.
I hate them with a passion.
Yeah.
I actually got asked that yesterday on Eddie's Shining Wizards podcast. They brought that up. I just don't. They're not meant for bigger guys, but they're not bad by any means. Especially if it's when you're first learning to wrestle. I like 20-foot rings, but he has an 18-footer, and they look nice. They're close enough. So.
Ropes or cables?
I think they're cables still, but
do you have a preference or no?
Ropes.
Between ropes and cables? You like ropes?
Yeah,
really?
Yeah. I just think it's cool, and I like the ropes. And that was my first rings in Deep South Wrestling, were the ropes. We had to change the ring all the time, and the ropes would always break or loosen up, and we'd have to put new ropes on. And so that was my first wrestling ring, was the WWE ring, and it just always kind of. They have the same ring night in and night out. So you know exactly what you're getting. The rope, the tightness is always the same or close to the same. Whereas I was telling Eddie on his podcast the other day, on the independent, I don't know what I'm getting till I get in the ring. Yeah. And it's a gamble. And but it's a challenge, and I like it. Nothing's footing wise is fine. It's just that some rings, I know in England when I wrestled over there, some of them were pretty bad. And just for those particular ones, and it was I hit a buckle and the whole ring I thought was just gonna break, and Jesus. But it's what it is, right? So
yeah. Did you get a chance to ever wrestle in a 14-foot ring?
No, I can't even imagine.
It's crazy. That's pretty crazy.
I mean, it was the 16s blew me away. That was my first one back with Big Moff, was that Dan Moff on that 16-foot ring, which you could check out on my YouTube, The Big Guy Ryback, which we got up there and everything. But I wrestled the Wrecking Ball last week.
Okay, yeah. How was he?
Wrecking Ball Legursky. Well, he's a 400-pound huge human being, and
that sounds like it really is. It's so funny that with you, every promoter across the board, like it's never outside of like a few, myself and maybe like, I put you with different people, but it's always local or
your first match back. You put me with Dan, your local big guy, and
that is true. So well, you did the tag stuff too, but you're right. It goes right to the big guy of the promotion every single time. I feel like
whatever the resident big guy is, I feel like they go to the promoter and be like, I want Ryback. And the promoters like eyes light up, and like everyone thinks it's this brilliant idea. Yeah. And like where it's like, no, I don't mind. It's good. He was actually, I enjoyed it very much. One of the things, went to suplex me, and we just did a nice stalling suplex, which I don't get stalling suplex. I'm usually the one dishing those out. And he held me up there for a good period of time. I was impressed. So, and we had a really good pace to our match, and the crowd was awesome. Like I said, Big Mike runs a good operation down there. That place, the high school gym, sold out capacity. No more people were allowed in. So I can't thank everybody enough for coming on down and supporting pro wrestling and supporting the Big Guy Ryback, Cody Rhodes, Matt Hardy, and all the other independent wrestlers. So thank you.
I heard that Port Jervis was a big man. I heard from Cody. He quoted Port Jervis as a big man territory, because apparently, I don't know how he felt about this, but I can imagine he's a bit annoyed that your gimmick line blew theirs away, and that you were slaying in terms of the line for the gimmick table.
I didn't realize, because when the line first came in, Cody and Matt Hardy had the majority of people. And I was a little slow to start. And that happens when you do signings. Sometimes you just go with the flow, and I'll get on the phone. I'll talk to whoever's buying me. It's like, that's what you do. And then it, like within 10 minutes, it just started getting busier and busier. And then before you know it, we're getting near the 2-hour mark, and I look over, and the line went out the door, and I assumed that it was like just coming all the way down. And then I didn't see anyone over there. They, I guess, were done, or it had slowed down. And it was like, I was like, whoa. I didn't even realize. I thought it was really cool. But I've been doing the Facebook advertising for That's each show. And I really, really think it's helping. And it was all families and kids, and like teenagers, kids, and their parents. So I always said, like, I feel like Cody and Matt will get like that older, like the 18 to 34-year-old.
Yeah, you were talking about that, where like they
hate me. That audience just wants to hate me because they don't know me and they don't relate to me at all. That's just the way. And like, but I have my fans that do like me in that age range, but kids and their parents tend to migrate towards me, and it has always been that way. Because why would a 20-something-year-old look at me and like me? Like, why? Like, unless he actually got to know me. So it's, that's why I always told Vince I like wearing the singlet. I go, when you put me in the trunks, I go, just reminds them even more how jacked I am. And I go, nobody really wants to like a jacked guy. God damn that guy for having muscles and looking good, and just people, God, steroid
you think you think there's something to that, though, that guys with a certain, there might be, Steve Austin, great physique, but not necessarily, he's not Lex Luger in terms of that, where it's a disconnect.
He looked like he enjoyed a cheeseburger and a whole beer from time to time.
I'm sure he'd be the first one to say that, but I do wonder if that's a thing. I definitely think it is a thing where guys can't relate to certain people because of,
That's why I like covering up when I go out there. I think it's good to cover up, and it looks like an outfit, and then you can still tell I have muscles, but it doesn't throw it in their face quite as much. So
yeah, no, that's a good point, especially as a babyface. I have thought about that before, but then it makes a lot of sense for.
And two, it's fake fighting; it's not real, so you can't just go beat the shit out of somebody. And then, like, if that was the case, and it was like you can go out there and it helps if you're doing. in a real fight and you go out there and squash somebody and you look like $1 million, then it's badass. But in the world of fake fighting, and then you got to sell for other guys, it like really hurts you. I'm telling you, like it doesn't like, because they look at you and they're like, well, this guy shouldn't be beat up right now. He looks like he should be able to kill this guy.
Yeah,
it's a real fucked up thing in wrestling, which it benefits me greatly when I'm used in a good capacity. When I'm not, it doesn't benefit me. So
it makes a lot of sense. And we've talked about this before, about how you feel about just the outsider's perspective to wrestling in trunks, meaning that someone who's not necessarily a fan of wrestling watching two muscular men, do things to each other.
It's the weirdest thing in the world. It's the most homosexual sport in the world. When you get a casual person and you're like, and they're like, well, what are you doing? Oh, I'm watching these guys pretend to fight in their underwear. Like, when you really break it down, and then they see some of the backstage shit that goes on, and they look at you and they're like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And you're like, oh, it's a soap opera for men. And they're like, and yeah, but they're in their fucking underwear. Like, and then you like, God forbid they turn it on and it's New Day out there gyrating and like you got to just look at the casual viewer. And like, because the regulars will watch. It's that casual viewer that you want to start tuning in and be like, oh, that guy's kind of cool and whatnot. And it's really the weirdest thing in the world when you look at it from an outside perspective.
I remember Croft would always say that. He would always say that like he would try to get his dad to like come in and watch SmackDown, but it would always be at the shittiest, most awkward, like embarrassing moments.
Croft's such a good guy. Yeah.
He'd just be like,
which is like,
don't watch this. Which is a lot of it.
Which is the majority. Like, you got to really think about it. Like, when is that moment you're going to, like, pick the right time and, like, where it's a badass, like, hey, Dad, I want you to come watch this badass fucking match with me. Like, it's kind of, you got to really, really do your homework. You definitely don't pick, like, a Raw or SmackDown, I guess, because you never know what you're going to get. But if it's a pay-per-view match, like, oh, Dad, you want to watch Goldberg and Brock Lesnar? Like, that, that might get the casual viewer, which I think, because it's not going to be overly weird.
Interesting. All right.
I'm curious to see what they do for the final one, because it's going to have to be shenanigans again, I feel like. But
yeah, and a lot of people are posing the question, will it close the show, and that it has to close the show, but I don't think it's going to. I
hope they give them 30 minutes and they close the show.
That would be, I actually do want to see it now. Why not?
Ratings would be at an all-time high either way. Who the fuck cares? They don't care what happens. They can cover it. It's WWE.
Yeah, it's true.
Brock finally just kills Bill. No, I think they'll have that well mapped out before. Even if they did do 30, they would have that all mapped out. They'd have old Michael Hayes helping lay that one out.
Is he the go-to guy for the bigger matches now that kind of Pat Patterson?
Pat's still involved. I know Pat he would be there from time to time, but I'd even hear Pat like bitching. And I shouldn't say bitching, but like I'd hear him, but like he voiced his frustrations. Like he would pitch something to Vince, and Vince wouldn't, would shut it down and whatnot. Yeah. And that's Pat, who was there poolside with him for many years. So it's doing God knows what. But yeah, I think Michael's his go-to guy. I
just spit up on myself.
Sorry. It's I just speak how I feel, and it's a good feeling to be able to do that. So,
I mean, we're pretty good friends. I just can't see the day where we're just sitting poolside and just planning wrestling ideas. I don't know. That's
planning fake fighting events for the next year, and men in their underwear by my pool, and pushing each other in from time to time, getting a good laugh. Gotcha, pal. Asshole. Just getting each other wet outside. Nothing wrong with that. Two dudes by the pool.
But I did hear Port Jervis, things went very well. And
very happy with them. I'm doing some more shows for Big Mike, and I've been very, very happy with the way he's done things. And it's been a good week. It's been busy. I told you today I've been running all around. We'll talk about it. I started the ketosis diet, the keto diet, which is pretty much no carbs. But today, I remember last week I mentioned to you I went to my stem cell appointment today for my right shoulder, and I was there for almost 2 hours. It was the consultation, and I got to go get an MRI on my shoulder, which I had one from last year when I left WWE, and I just went and got that done shortly after I left there because it always had bothered me, and I wanted to know what I was dealing with. But they didn't inject me with the dye, which helps you get a better read on the MRI. So he needs to inject it with the dye. They're going to call me back on that to schedule that. And then essentially what they do now, this stem cell research, there's only 2 doctors in Las Vegas. But the guy, he works with a lot of the MMA guys out here, and it is doing amazing things. And when I remember when I saw when WWE had Finn Balor get the stem cells after his surgery, I was like, wow, they're doing that now, because I've read up on it from time to time, but I didn't know it was available in the United States yet, because there was a time when like NFL guys and MLB guys, Major League Baseball players, were going to different countries to get it done.
It's always been a subject of controversy, right? The stem cell stuff?
I don't know so much. I think it's just because it's so new. But it's amazing to look at where we're going to be in 25 years. Where, you look 25 years back when a guy would get, blow out his knee, his career was done. Or like you blew out your shoulder, you were done. Where now guys, come back in a relatively short period and their careers aren't over anymore for the most part. And like now stem cell research is going to, the guy can fix my shoulder without me getting surgery. So what they're going to do is essentially inject fat cells and bone marrow. You go for 2 different treatments. They take your fat cells first. They'll inject that into the spots. The muscles, that if there's any torn muscles in my shoulder and inside my shoulder joint where my cartilage is worn out a little bit, it literally within weeks regrows and repairs everything. He said by the 8-week mark, you're probably going to be all better. And wow. He has about an 85% success rate in dealing with mostly older patients that are, in highly degenerative forms of just being really worn out. And so I had a lot of questions for him. He answered all of them. And it's my shoulders I had surgery like 8 years ago on it, and it's never been the same. And I used to play baseball my whole life, and I used to be able to throw and do everything. And where like I haven't even tried to throw a baseball. And you told me Big Mike had a gig for me, the sporting thing, to throw out the first pitch for a minor league game. And the first thing, it's not even for how much money. It's like, fuck, my shoulder's going to fall off. I'm going to embarrass, like, it wouldn't even tell me if it was, it's for $25,000. I still would be really worried about my shoulder. Because
I knew if I told you that, I'm like, dude, he's going to schedule 3 times a week going to the fucking pitching, whatever it is, the range or whatever it is, to practice the throw. I knew you'd do that.
I have my brick wall in the backyard. I would just go to my dad's house and get some of my old baseballs, and I would just throw them against the brick wall a little bit to make sure I still got it. Fucking just, that's what throws out my shoulder right there. Go down just selling my arm and just have to get fucking wheeled out. But yeah. No.
Big Mike hits me up. He's like, hey, I got this interesting gig. And it's very popular amongst the old timers. Like I know Sergeant Slaughter was doing a lot of those. I mean, I've wrestled in a couple minor league baseball stadiums last summer for Jeff Jarrett. For Global Force.
I hate wrestling outside.
It was great. It was different because now wrestling outside on a baseball thing, they're very protective of the field.
Yeah.
So there was no chairs on the field. So there's literally like, dare I say, 30 to 40 feet between the ring and the people sitting behind the cage.
Yep.
And I wrestled a bunch of different people. But I remember I wrestled I wrestled Dirty Money. And we could literally like yell at the top of our lungs and fans wouldn't be able to hear us. Like it was just so
It feels out of touch. Like the energy's just too far away.
It's hard, and everything has to be like there's no people on any other side. It's very different. We had a great time doing it, but yeah, those baseball, they're a good thing. They bring people into the building because a lot of minor league teams don't do so well. But there's a lot of them, and a lot of them they work hand in hand with pro wrestling stuff. But yeah, he wanted to book you to throw out the old first pitch and maybe do an autograph signing, but it still might happen. But we'll see.
Do you think I have a run doing that? If I just do first pitch and signings, no wrestling. If I go, Pat, look, I just need to concentrate on the supplements. I think it's time to take a little break from wrestling. Do you think I have a run on the minor league circuit for throwing? Oh, I think I have a run on the major leagues, getting some gigs on that, throwing out the first pitch. If my minor league gigs go well, and the teams go, this Ryback guy throws a hell of a fucking first pitch, does this whole feed me more thing, the whole crowd gets into it, and then maybe, the local MLB team fucking contacts me.
Stranger things have happened because I was, dare I say, and this is legitimate, I was so fucking close to having a bought show at Citi Field with Major League Baseball.
Yeah.
I was so fucking close. And I was in talks with them for a while, and I actually lost to your buddy Goldberg's promotion, who ran a show there, and they didn't do so well, and they'll never have wrestling again because the show was insanely overpriced and unorganized, and I could have had WrestlePro at fucking Citi Fields, but they chose to go with someone else. And we'll never be back. I
just don't think wrestling on baseball fields works. And I know there's some older matches. I don't like them. And the energy's too dissipated and just like, is that the correct word? You're too distant from the fans. I think whenever you're on a baseball field, wrestling is meant for indoors, or like if WWE does like the big outdoor stadiums, it still is in a stadium where everything is focused. That energy is focused right into the center of the arena. Whereas a baseball field, it's just not the same. And you got the outfield. There's no fans all on one side. It's all on one side, and it reminds me of just wrestling in front of that little arena in Kentucky where it was just the 3-sided building. Where the
rodeo?
I don't know where it was. It was in some, in the middle of nowhere in Kentucky, and for OVW, and the fans could only sit on one side. Actually, it was.
Okay.
I remember I wrestled the Spirit Squad there once, and Nemeth. I remember Nemeth was like calling he wanted to see if I'd bump for him because I was working a very, very strong big man style at that time. And I was new to the territory, and we were getting a feel for each other. So he called some spots. I remember, and I didn't bump for him. He called me because I was like, "Who the fuck is this dickhead?" He called a spot where he shot me off. I had the headlock, and he told me to take the bump. So he wanted me to be on the run and to take the bump for him, and I didn't do it. And we've been really close ever since.
That's funny.
I love it. One of my favorite guys.
Back to the baseball stuff. Well, here's the thing I wanted to fill you in where it actually kind of, I think, could work. See, some of the attendance for a lot of the teams isn't working out so great. So what a Citi Field does, I mean, the Mets, I think, have done well in the last couple of years. I don't know my baseball guys, forgive me. But before that, they weren't, there's days at the park where they have no events going on. And there's also a lot of events that aren't, not everybody's going to every game. So what they would do is there was many times, like they'll have a game in daytime, and they would have a concert after the show. And it wouldn't be like a big act. If it was like a Foo Fighters playing Citi Field, that would sell itself out on its own. But they would have like, a band like Third Eye Blind. Me and Hawkins would go see like Third Eye Blind, or like, I think Boys to Men was one of them. So they would double up with events, and they're paying these bands a hefty fee. So my whole thing was, the reason they had this show at the baseball stadium that was Goldberg's promotion called Legends of the Ring or something like that. And they basically ran on an off show day where they have the stadium and it's open and the weather's nice and they want to make something of it. And they ran a wrestling show and they had seats on the field. They did all that stuff. But again, it was just kind of, when you run a wrestling event, you're not really familiar with things. It got a little wacky. But if I told them, I was like, look, if it's planned right, you could make it work. But I think it's best if it's, people come to the baseball game, the show ends, set the old ring up and run a small, show that could maybe draw, 2,000 people in a baseball stadium is like, a drop in the bucket when they can draw, 100,000 people, I think, or 80,000 people.
Yeah.
But if they want like a little event that gives incentive to ticket buyers coming down, that's not that expensive. Wrestling, I think, could work. So if any Major League Baseball teams want to hit up WrestlePro online at yahoo.com, just talk to me or talk to me on Twitter.
And for the big guy to throw out the first pitch in any of those major league games, book the big guy at yahoo.com. I'd prefer maybe where's Mark McGuire at? He's the batting coach. Is it San Diego now?
I couldn't tell you.
I would like to go just to be around Mark McGuire a little bit and compare forearms, maybe take a little BP and get a nice little photo op to show Zigman. He would appreciate that.
So I had a decent week. I had a big Irish weekend with St. Patrick's Day.
Oh yeah,
yeah. A lot of Irish parties, a lot of drinking.
I don't know if I've told you or not. I'm 10% Irish.
I haven't heard that. I don't.
Every week I
no
think I've
idea.
mentioned it now.
Ancestry.com needs to start plugging away.
I wouldn't mind them being a plug. I think it's important for us to know where we came from. When I found out my mother always kind of told me, but it was a little off from what I got from them, and theirs is like it's legit.
See, I'm a little scared because I know where I came from, and I know my dad's on there.
It reconnects all of you guys. No, not a bad deal at all. I recommend everyone check it out. I think it's about between 150, maybe $175, something like that, which is a bit of money. But if you
for the DNA test,
yeah, the saliva DNA test, and you send in, but you get your exact numbers. You know where you came from, and you could and they help you connect with family members maybe that you didn't know you had. Sure. So, not a bad deal. Whoever came up with that little scenario, that deal is kudos to them. I think it's cool. I had it posted on my Instagram. On everything. I'm 70% English though is the main one. 7% Italian, 10% Irish, a little Indian, 2% Jew, and I think 7% West European. So which is French. I'm pretty sure French. So. But yeah.
See, Ancestry.com, in a weird kind of way, was the last falling out I had with my dad. Legit. Last time I saw my dad was around Christmas time, maybe, 5-6 years ago. I can't remember. And I came back. He was in Florida, and he was really excited. And I thought he was really excited to talk to me about the businesses I created or the fact that I finally made wrestling work out. But he wasn't. He just wanted to show me all the stuff he found on Ancestry.com, which basically was a pile of papers about all of our Irish and English descents, and everybody is like a cop or firefighter, and a cop and a firefighter. And I'm just sitting there. I'm like,
he's one of those assholes that think you need to continue the family lineage of the jobs that the others lived, or no?
No, he's just one of those things where he's just like, I found out this. And I'm like, I didn't make it in wrestling, but I'm like, Dad, I just started a successful business. I have all these stories, and you're fucking talking about, great grandpa Elmer from, that was on the police force for 5 years. And then I'm like, it's just fucking one of those things. Sorry guys,
was he mad that you had not chosen to become a cop or something along those lines?
No, actually, I don't. Honestly,
why would you? No, I know.
It happens to be that my whole family comes from a lineage of cops, and it's so ironic.
This reminds me of Kindergarten Cop with Arnold, the scene with the woman, and where he's pretending he goes, "My mother was a teacher, my father was a teacher." My aunt was a teacher. My great-grandfather was a teacher. I come from a family of teachers.
I think he was a little different where most parents, you would expect that, and I know he's not listening, or maybe he is. I don't give a fuck. But
shout out to Pat Buck's father if you're listening.
Shout out to Ghost Dad.
Ghost Dad.
So that's what my friends used to call him. They're like, we never see your dad around. Where is he?
Right now, he just went, yes.
I think he was along the lines of he just wanted, for some reason, it felt like he wanted me and my brother to have a more difficult life than him, which is opposite of what you want as a parent. But a lot of people would say that, man, he wants you guys to almost go through suffering instead of having it easier, but not in a good relative way. Did I tell you I was almost a cop once in Kentucky? Oh my God. So
wait,
dude, this is crazy.
You've never once mentioned this to me.
Probably because it's fucking a depressing tale. I need to take a sip of my old Tito's vodka. Oh, what are you drinking, big guy?
I'm doing Tito's vodka because it's keto friendly. Which we got to talk about the old Keto Diet coming up, but I ditched the red wine for this episode, and I got to be careful. I'm sipping very lightly because while you're on the ketosis diet, alcohol hits you much harder because I've depleted my carbohydrate stores, and I'm running on body fat and fat for energy, which we will explain here in a little bit. But it makes alcohol, it hits you much harder. So I'm taking it easy, but I'm doing Tito's as well. I've always been a Tito's guy back in the day. Tito's vodka, it's I believe it's distilled 6 times, handmade as well out of Austin, Texas, and they run a fine operation. The guy used to send Tito's bottles to all the boys. He probably still does. Whenever we were in Austin, Texas, he would send down a bunch of Tito's, and for the guys to go drink at their hotels or whatever to bring home.
I'm a big fan. If they want to sponsor us, let us know. So yeah, I was almost a cop. So anyway, before we moved in together, I think kind of relatively, because I moved out of my apartment. I moved in with Sandow and Nova.
Yep.
So at one point, maybe like 2 or 3 years in OVW, I was really concerned. I was still in college. I was about to graduate, doing wrestling. I'm like, fuck, it's not really, I don't have a deal yet. Let me take the police test, because maybe if I get into the academy, I can, I could figure out a way to do maybe the TV tapings on Wednesday nights and go to the house shows, but I could get a decent job just in case.
I think every wrestler goes through that, by the way, until you actually make it. Yeah, I think you question, like, what the fuck am I doing with my life? Because you are fake fighting in tights. And it's when you break it down, it really, but either you get it or you don't, and we all love it. But it's fucked up. So like what you were thinking was very normal. So cause I've thought about that many times, even still.
But it brings us back, and we love this fake world of fake fighting.
Yes.
Or whatever it is. So anyway, I enroll, and I have a date to take the exam, and me and my girlfriend, or my fiance at the time, not the girl I married, thank fucking God, but we were having a lot of issues. We were on the outs, and I go in for the test day. Now, the test day is a mixture of a written exam and a physical endurance part where you have to run 1.5 miles. You have to do like a certain amount of push-ups, a certain amount of sit-ups, and a whole bunch of different, I think like chin-ups, a whole bunch of stuff. There's a written, a mental, and a physical testing part.
Okay.
So the first thing they have us do is a questionnaire. And you have to answer a fucking, literally like a 20 to 30 page book of not true false things, of things about your life. Have you ever been convicted of a crime?
Yeah, they want to know everything.
They want to know everything. And I answered it completely honestly. And because it says that you're subject to a polygraph exam at the end of it. So I take that part. We go through the physical part. Now I'm in a class of probably about 25 people, and I mean everyone there seems like, to me, I'm like, these guys are fucking degenerates. Like a lot of them are out of shape. Like they
get out of here.
They're struggling. Oh, you had to bench press 50 or 75% of your body weight, I think like 5 or 10 times. It was very strange. Yeah. If people want to look up on the Louisville police force, because they can go fuck themselves too, and I'll tell you why. But actually, maybe I'm grateful for this. So anyway,
okay,
I feel like I'm fucking Captain Cop. Like I'm like, these guys are jokes, and everyone's like looking at me. Like the cops there are like, man, this guy's kind of impressive.
We'll see how tough you are when I got my mace and my gun, buddy.
So we go through the physical part, and then we gather. I think we had like a lunch or something, or a break, and then it's time for the test. And these 2 officers come into the room, and they go, Patrick Buckridge? And I'm like, yeah, it's me. And I'm like, oh, they're pulling me out because I did so well.
Did they? I feel like you had heat because you looked in shape, and I feel like that's going to get you heat with other cops.
Well, at the moment I went, oh, they must be putting me in like a special room because I did so fucking well on the
I'm going to the advanced class.
Or they're going to be like, we want to know more about you. They pull me out. I go into the hallway, and they go, we have to tell you that you answered that you smoked marijuana within the last 5 years. And I said, yeah, I answered, an honest question. I'm like, you mean to tell me everyone in there has not touched anything in the last 5 years? I'm like, I answered the question honestly. And they're like, well, sorry. They're like, you can take the test in 2 years. You're going to have to leave now. And I went, holy fuck. Like, it took the wind out of my sails. Like, I was severely depressed. Now, looking back on that, I'm so fucking thankful that I'm not a cop in Louisville, Kentucky. No disrespect to any of them down there. It just wasn't my call.
They do a good job protecting and serving and for the right causes, but yeah, you're better off doing what you're doing right now.
But I remember going back just so fucking defeated. Like, I'm not qualified to do this because I answered something honestly. So, I mean, I'm looking at these guys in the room. I'm like, I bet you half these fucking guys did drugs last night.
Yeah. No, it's when the world is, that's why I said you got to create your own world, because this world is all fucked in so many ways. So that sucks, but it's good. Everything happens for a good reason, It motivated you, and you're very successful at everything that you do now. So that's the kind of things that happen to give you drive, to make you want to, it's like with me and different things, I have this drive because of things that have happened to me in my past. So it's, you got to just focus on the positives.
And I think it's hard to find like instant gratification, but like sometimes you need a lot of time to really look back and go, holy shit, I'm so thankful that tragedy happens, not all the time, but certain things in your life will really put you on a better, like, I'm fucking thrilled. I do miss being a waiter at Smoky Bones, but I'm glad I was never a cop for down there. And
no, that was fun just because I felt like, to me, it was like, away from home, we're still young, like at that point, 24 years old. You were 23, right?
I don't remember. 22. I'm 83. You're what? 81.
81. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think at different times we're a year apart. How old are you right now?
I turned 33. I'll turn 34 in December.
Okay.
So
yeah.
No, we're a year or two.
Yeah, we're a couple of years apart. But we were young at the time, and like I felt like it was just like kind of it was figuring things out, but it was no stress, even though there was stress at different times. But alcohol cured that on a daily basis. We had some crazy periods looking back at that times, just looking back at that period. So, but man.
Well, speaking of heavy drinking, so St. Patrick's Day went really well. And a real positive note, I got a nice text from one of my closest friends. He was one of my groomsmen, just like you. Mario Bokara, informed me that both him and Fallah Bahh signed with Impact Wrestling, which was nice to hear that two guys that are I guess you can say, fall under my. They weren't trained by me, but Mario's my partner at the school, in New Jersey, and Fallah Bahh is a guy that I created his persona. I kind of took him. I was like, look, you need to embrace this. I came up with the Yokozuna idea. I knew that he had the skill and ability, and now, two guys have national contracts. So congrats to them. And it was kind of I was very drunk when I read their text, so it was extra warming.
No, congratulations, guys. That is very good for their careers as far as, and hopefully it aligns to everything that they want out of life. So that is, Fallah is legit. Like, he's not as big as Yokozuna, I don't believe, right?
No, because I think Yoko was
6'2" or 6'3", right?
I mean, he towered. I feel like I just watched him and Brett, and he towered over Brett.
Did he?
Yeah. From what I remember, I remember he could be. I think he could be 6'4" and up. I really do.
Yeah, he had. I mean, he was a big Samoan, right? So I mean,
and not for nothing, when you don't wear boots or anything, and he was flat-footed.
Yeah, that's even where guys usually are in the boots, where they give you an inch or two on those. That's definitely. He was a big man, but in this day and age, wrestlers are smaller in general. Overall, so it's like the same thing essentially, as far as he's.
That's true. Very true.
Weight wise, though, he's 425 pounds. He's a big boy.
He's a big boy. I actually was wondering that too, because I'm like, could he ever one day go against people? And when you saw him, you're like, man, this guy's a wide dude, a big dude. So I'm like, if he can go with you, I think Sanjay Dutt had that critique too when he saw when it was me and you versus the bodies, that he was very complimentary of them because if someone can get realistic heat on you, then they kind of pass like a test in a way.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
That's always a good. Yeah, I always feel like that. For me, I always feel good when I can pull that. If we could pull that off with a guy, and like, I always tell him, just work if you work aggressive, anything's believable. That's all you got to do. It's that simple. Just work aggressive and not hurt the guy, but work aggressive. It's so simple. But
who do you think? And you're not allowed to pick yourself, but outside of some people say Yokozuna might have been the greatest big man of all time. Who do you think falls in that category?
I wouldn't even consider I call myself the big guy, but I wouldn't consider myself like there's different levels of on a guy like Yokozuna is a whole different class of wrestler.
Sure.
Bam Bam Bigelow was one of my favorites growing up too.
Yes.
I loved. I named my dog after him. Bam Pebbles and Bam Bam. Bam Bam though was from Bam Bam Bigelow.
It wasn't after. Wait, if it was Pebbles and Bam Bam, I would think it would be from the Flintstones.
You would think. So Pebbles we named. Okay, to explain this, Pebbles we named Pebbles. We got first because of Pebbles and Bam Bam the cartoon.
Okay.
Bam Bam, I named Bam Bam. I got to choose because I was a big fan of Bam Bam Bigelow. So
really,
but it happened to just work out because Pebbles and Bam Bam. So it was like kind of a double whammy with it. So, but that was the whole reason why I named him Bam Bam. But it was crazy. It kind of was for both. But I loved. I remember on the regular Nintendo that it was on Nintendo and Sega that the WWF video game.
Yes,
they had music on it where you can listen. And me and my buddies would always. I kid you not. I used to go into my room and just instead of listening to the radio, I would put on like the screeching tires of Razor Ramon and just have it playing on loop. And then I would
Eddie, you know your cues right now. You know what to play here.
Right there. And then I would go back and forth between Razor Ramon and then bam, 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 bam. I just loved him. And the little fan in me. So, but then my friends used to come over and we used to wrestle and we would put their music on and we would fake fight in the backyard. Me, Justin, Jimmy, and Jimmy Belanger.
Oh. You were a backyard guy at one point.
I got my start in the backyard, from a very young age. If I guess nowadays, I could actually start that. My career started at probably around 10, 11 years old. If we're going to get into the logistics of everything, I never brag about it, but because my formal training started when I was 22 years old for WWE. But I had a lengthy backyard career as a kid.
Well, there's a lot of us that come from the backyard.
Fighting on the trampolines. Right? That's what I got my start.
What was your name or persona? Did you have one?
We weren't like, we just enjoyed fighting. And it was always me versus the neighborhood. Always and I'll never forget one time I got my ass kicked by my best friend at the time, Kevin Salisbury, who was a very large kid. But it was me versus...
He was 43 years old.
Justin and Jimmy's dad. No, we were fighting on Charles Schaffner, Chucky Schaffner's trampoline on his backyard. And he had the old wooden picket fence in his backyard, which a pervert lived next door to him, which is a whole other story. He was caught staring in my window as a kid, and my mom chased him off. But which we could break that all down at a later time. But Kevin hit me with a drop kick out of nowhere as I was fighting with Justin and Jimmy, and the drop kick hit me and flung me off the trampoline, and I went through the fucking wooden fence. The boards break in half. I land in the Perverts Backyard, and which I freaked out and dove back through the wood, and then we got in a lot of trouble. But if you date back when the big guy Ryback got his start, you'd have to go back into the early 90s.
I'm a little disappointed there was no name or persona, because I had a pretty lengthy backyard run from the ages of 8 till about 12 around the many backyards of Belrose, Queens.
Really?
So yeah, I'm sure the Cactus Pat was very was.
You got to remember though. So I was the only one. I was like the big wrestling fan. My other friends didn't watch it unless Justin and Jimmy would watch it a little bit. Because they're the ones that got me back into it. But nobody. I became obsessed with it as far as what they were just casual viewers, and like Kevin and Chucky when we were all like, and all the other kids, they would watch it occasionally, but they weren't like me. So, but they were cool with like fighting, but like I would be weird if I came up with a name, and so we just never, because I had normal friends. So like, yeah. That was where that whole deal is kind of.
All my friends were marks. We had our outfits. So I was Cactus Pat, which really consisted of really, really short green shorts, no shirt, no socks, no nothing, just little green shorts. A pervert's dream, I guess, as a young ginger boy, and I was quite the risk taker. I was big in the backyard circuit. A couple of us, Ryder had a whole promotion, I believe. I don't remember his name. I think it was Matt something. God, I should remember that. But I think he has an Captain Negative.
You know it.
I think he has an action figure of himself in the backyard. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, of course. Did I ever tell you I met some guys when I was older in high school or junior high, high school, like freshman year period. I think it was like 8th grade though still. And it was when whatever year, maybe it was even sophomore year in high school, but whatever year WCW NWO Revenge came out for the Nintendo 64, we all used to get together and play tournaments with it on like
greatest game.
Yeah, so much fun. Anybody knows that period. But like, so I didn't wear the wrestling shirts, and we talked about this. I just really liked watching it, but I wasn't like big on like wearing the shirts or anything like that at the time. And these guys were like full blown. This had to have been later in high school, because I think this was like close. NWO came out shortly thereafter, or right around this period, and. But that, I mean, it could have been junior high school. But I remember they were like, "Oh, you got to come over. We do like this backyard wrestling." And this was like after like I'd grown up. Me and my friends quit wrestling on the trampolines and like all that, because we all got older. But I still watch wrestling, but I didn't talk about it or anything. It was just kind of what I did when I was home. When I wasn't playing baseball or any football, I'd watch wrestling, and. These guys, Dan Herbert, I think was his name, and I remember they're like, you had to come over. We backyard wrestle, and I remember I went over there one time when they had like a backyard wrestling event, and they had the trampoline, and their backyard, and their house was pretty disgusting. Like they didn't like animal piss everywhere, and like smelled and like just shit everywhere. Really fucking filthy, disgusting house. Like real pigs living there, and I was really like, oh man, like. I've always come from a cleaner house, and where you take care of yourself and flush the toilets and regular basic everyday things. And they didn't abide by those rules, and good for them. But I was like, first time ever going to his house, I was like, oh man, this is really weird. And they had the fake championships, and I go, fuck, these guys are so weird. Like, this is just different levels of like people, how they act with wrestling. And I went into their backyard, and there's like nails all around outside and dirt, and like everything's just unkempt and like just really, really just bad. And they had broken boards, and I did one backyard match with them, and which somebody went through. I powerbombed somebody through a table. And
of course,
yeah, go figure. And then did the fucking Psycho Sid fist bump to the air, and I never fucking hung out with that guy ever again. So I left the territory on a high note.
No name or persona in that one?
No. Just the fucking Invisible Man, and went in, fucking boot, power bomb, left, and I just remember I was like, I never talked to the guy ever again. I just thought, I was like, these guys are so fucking weird. But if you want to book the big guy Ryback for the rate to come back in and boot and power bomb somebody through a table on a trampoline, you know the deal.
That's right, Grimm's Toy Show. We're looking at you. You mentioned wrestling shirts before, how you wouldn't wear them as a kid, but you had the Kurt Angle one. That I saw mentioned in the last episode about how that was your one and only wrestling shirt.
Yeah.
What do you think? I wanted to have that conversation. What do you think makes a good wrestling shirt, or even what makes a bad wrestling shirt? Because a lot of them, I have no problem wearing them. I know a lot of indie guys, that's all they wear.
Yeah.
I have a bunch in my closet. Like, I support my friends and everything. But at the same time, there's a lot of shirts I wouldn't be caught dead in. What do you think makes something good or bad?
So I look at things differently now than like wrestling shirts. I feel like are more acceptable now than they used to be.
Yeah,
growing
big time.
Up. But again, I'm not walking through the halls of an elementary school or a junior high where those kids, you know how kids can be, where they like there's a lot of kids out there and like, oh, that shit's fake and that's stupid, and they're dead right. They're smart kids. And like, but it's like, you can't get mad at them. Like, what are they? They're not like, they're just telling the truth. And like, there's these other like, and kids are wearing their shirts and their heroes are playing a part. Like, like, so they make fun of them, and I get it. I understand it. That's why I didn't wear them, because I understood how stupid it was at times. But like, you don't want to be reminded that you're wearing a wrestling shirt, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
Like, there's certain designs, like, and it's, but that's not to say that certain wrestling shirts, it could remind you of wrestling and still sell really well. You know, like a lot of there were some Austin shirts that were full blown wrestling shirts, but he was so in, it didn't matter at the time. But you never want to like if you look at some of maybe the New Day shirts, which are great for kids and wrestling fans, but if a regular guy showed up to school with 3 black guys on a unicorn with horns on their head that look like dildos, like, they might get made fun of. Like, it's so, but that shirt's great for the wrestling world, but maybe not in an elementary or junior high set. So it's just it all depends. But like, a lot of the wrestlers aren't thinking, they're just thinking, what are kids going to buy that watch our product? Because that's who you're selling to on the grand scheme of things. But, you know, like, Orton always comes out with some good ones where they're a little more, they're not so wrestling, you know, they're more of a logo or something like that. So it's just all dependent. You never, I feel like they're a little more accepted maybe than they used to be, but I'm not in that world of being a kid. And so I don't know what it's like in the hallways these days. I would imagine it's still pretty similar.
Yeah, I would think so.
I'm on the Keto Diet. Has been something I've been on pretty hard this week.
Oh, I noticed that was a big part of my week when I got a hell of a response from you over our normal daily interactions. So I think if you want to break down rather quickly, unless you want to take a quick break here, because we've been going for an hour.
Yeah, let's go. We'll take a little break right here. We'll come back. We'll talk about the ketosis diet and the weekend review, a little bit of wrestling, and we'll maybe a little blast from the past tonight from WrestleMania 29 with Mark Henry.
Yeah, that sounds good. And enjoy a quick word from our proud sponsor, Zevia.
And we'll be right back after this.
Hey everybody, Pat Buck here. I love soda. I really do. But the only soda I'll touch is Zevia, and I'll tell you why. While other sodas out there contain enough sugar to send you into a diabetic coma or have artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose that are linked to cancer, with Zevia, you know you're getting something natural, clean, and 0 calorie. Zevia is sweetened with stevia, a miracle leaf that's naturally 0 calories and 200 times sweeter than sugar. Stevia has been consumed for thousands of years in the South America, and Zevia was the first 0 calorie soda on the market to use stevia instead of artificial sweeteners. They revolutionized the soda game. Not only is Zevia naturally sweetened, but their drinks contain no artificial ingredients, no artificial coloring agents, nothing fake. Plus, stop beeping at me. Plus, they're non-GMO project verified. With Zevia, you get a safe and frankly delicious soda that you and your family can enjoy guilt-free. Zevia offers 14 different flavors of soda. I like the cream soda the best. 4 flavors of sparkling water, mix it with vodka, and 3 delicious energy drinks. I want you to try it for yourself. I really do. So here's what Zevia and I are offering. For listeners of Conversation with the Big Guy, free 6-packs. If you live in the United States or Canada, all you have to do is go to www.zevia.com/podcast and sign up to get a free 6-pack. In a couple weeks, you'll get one in the mail. Once again, that's www.zevia.com/podcast, where you can sign up to get your free 6-pack of Zevia. Simple as that, and I guarantee you'll end up loving it. Enjoy the show.
And we're back. So we were talking about this week how I started the ketosis diet. And for the listeners out there, just to kind of give you a little definition of what the ketosis diet is, or what ketosis is, it is a natural state for the body when it is almost completely fueled by fat. This is normal during fasting or when on a strict low-carb diet, also called a keto diet. Ketosis has many potential positive benefits with it. It's essentially when your body switches from using carbohydrates as energy to your stored body fat and the fats that you consume. And I've done low carb diets before, but I've always been lean no matter what throughout my life. I've always been at a certain leanness. And somebody sent me an email a while back asking me to talk about the keto diet.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I've never really, as familiar as I am with a lot of things in nutrition, I've never really listened to or read any books on the keto diet. So this week or last week, I got my first book on the keto diet, and I've listened to a couple of them since.
Where's this coming from? Because, I mean, a lot of people, you're a body guy. You're known for, even though you were left off the top 50 physiques of WWE history. Which
by the way, I've never been on one top physiques in wrestling.
Never.
And, never. Even when I was there, and I always just laughed, just like, fuck off. And the person making it has no, and you see some of the people on it, you're just like, fuck off.
But
it's made up lists. Those are all lists made up by one dude who like, ugh.
So what's the reasoning, not health-wise, but you seem to be doing okay. Why do you need, what's your motivation now? Is it to try something new?
You need goal. You just need goals. You need to have goals. And I'm like, I want to be as shredded as I possibly could be. I think you got to constantly push yourself in life, and the worst thing to be is complacent. And I've looked a certain way for a long time, and I was like, you know what? I want to see how fucking shredded I can get. And I don't do drugs or any of that shit. The steroids, I don't do any of it. So I want to see naturally how shredded I can get. And I've always felt like I had to stay at a certain weight because of being on TV, and whereas like now I'm like, I can do whatever the hell I want to do. If I go down to 260 pounds, I'm 260 pounds. And I'm right now, I'm 270, between 275 and 280, the weight has fluctuated. And I anticipate you drop a lot of water weight at first, which I think I've dropped a few pounds already in water weight.
Even before you continue, did you notice anything? Because you were around the time period, I think you were. I don't think you came too late, where TVs, and there's still a little bit, I think we've all accepted the fact that everyone pretty much has an HD television.
Yeah.
So did you notice a change from like a WWE mindset where over time, because of the sharpness of cameras, that, lean became the new big, and that it was actually more beneficial to be leaner as opposed to having that extra mass, because if you were leaner on television, you came across as bigger. Was that something you experienced?
It all depends. I've seen guys, Steve Lewington is a guy that comes to mind, DJ Gabriel, who was shredded, who looked smaller on TV, shredded, when his run on WWE, when he was with Alicia Fox up there. And there's certain guys, everybody looks different, and every TV is different. I don't know. I don't know if HD TV makes you look any better sometimes. I really don't. I've seen TVs where it doesn't, and they're HD TVs. So it's just, but obviously you want to just be as lean as possible. I always do. And I thought right now is the time. I want to push myself on a whole other level. And the Fat Burner, the Shell Shock Extreme Fat Burner is getting ready to launch. I'm actually getting my first bottles in here, hopefully in the next couple weeks. And where I'll really, I want to see how lean I can get. And I'm not doing, I don't like bodybuilding or anything like that. I just I like competing with myself. And I don't want to have to worry about if guys are doing steroids. And I think that whole sport is weird to begin with anyways. Like, I would rather just, I just want to be as big and shredded as I can naturally. And physically functional in my boxing. I think I'm going to enjoy being a few pounds lighter, so.
I noticed that new logo that you had on there for the Feed Me More Nutrition.
Yeah, that's another thing is getting ready. It should be by the time we're out next week here with this podcast. I'm hoping everything, it will be by the end of the week. But Feed Me More Nutrition is going to be available on Amazon now, guys, worldwide with the Amazon Prime shipping. So check it out. Type in Feed Me More Nutrition. We're going to have the ISO Hungry, the Wake Up Unlimited Energy, and the Big Guy All Natural Testosterone Booster, and the Feed Me More Nutrition Shakers, and the Feed Me More Goal Boards are also going to be on there to start, and more things coming. But we got the new blue Ryback, which is going to be the new logo on all the supplement bottles moving forward, and the Shell Shock Extreme Fat Burner is going to be the first one. And I posted a picture of it because I like that cartoon figure. But I love the color blue, and it just pops out at you, and it's going to be a part of the brand.
I think that's great, and I think Blue Ryback is great, but you know what's really good is Blue Apron, and that's right, Blue Apron is the #1 fresh ingredient and recipe delivery service in the country. Blue Apron's mission is to make incredible home cooking accessible to everyone. Beef, chicken, and pork come from responsibly raised animals. Do you know that cooking together builds strong family bonds? Research shows that Blue Apron families cook nearly 3 times more often. This upcoming menus
I'm miserable around my family. I don't want to cook with them. I'm kidding. Keep going.
Vegetable chili and baked sweet potatoes with crispy tortilla strips. Pork chops with miso butter, bok choy, and marinated apple. For you guys listening, if you're not on a keto diet, although you could be, just eat the protein part and get rid of the rest. That's what actually me and Lauren were doing. But you can go to blueapron.com/conversations with an S. Blueapron.com/conversations with an S. 3 free weeks of meals with shipping. It's no better time to join Blue Apron. A better way to cook. Blueapron.com.
You're real sneaky with those now. You're just getting those in whenever you can, huh?
Sneaky and a bit lazy because at the end of this, going back, it's more natural. The sponsors told me they prefer that way, and I guess I've been butchering the other ones pretty bad too.
Well, I hope they reciprocate it with nice checks into my bank account. They could show their thankfulness that way. Audio Boom will straighten that all out.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Wink, wink.
But yeah, so the ketosis diet though is essentially it's you keep yourself between 30 and 50 carbs a day because it's really hard to go zero. But I don't try to consume carbs at all. But like I'll do things where it's all fat and all protein, and you play with your fat levels a little bit. The other day you were on the receiving end. You'd voxed me and I voxed you back, and I was full blown. They call it a ketosis flu. Where your body, it was right at the 48-hour mark of not having any carbs. My body, and I was on my way to the gym, and I voxed you back, and I started getting like sweating, and I started shaking, and they compare it to like when you coming off of cocaine or coming off of drugs. It's when your body's so used to carbohydrates, and I've always had carbohydrates in my diet. I'm always so active, and my body, it's when your body first, and they say it happens to the majority of people, when your body starts switching over to using body fat and fat for fuel, your body starts almost like it doesn't recognize what's going on at first. And it doesn't feel good. And I started going through that, and I started getting really moody and temperamental, and I voxed you back, and I wasn't mad at you. And you were like, oh my God, I was so frightened by that message.
I mean, on my end,
I haven't listened to it back. Yeah. I don't want to listen to it back because I'm afraid to hear because I don't know. I don't know everything that I said on it, but it all made sense while I was saying it.
What now? You said it's between 0. You're going 0 to 30. But
I'm under 30. I'm under 30 grams of carbs. So there's a few grams of carbs in the protein shakes altogether. And,
but are you allowed to do like leafy greens? Do they count?
Yeah,
or you're allowed to.
They encourage green vegetables and stuff, but you got to be really, because the fiber content on those, and again, certain ones are better than others. But even those, I don't want to overeat any of those. But like I switched to using like a regular ranch that has less than a gram of carb, 1 gram of carbs in it, and just chicken wings and steak and chicken and. But you need to keep your fat levels at a certain level until you see, because you use that for energy. and
Yeah.
if you don't have your fat high enough, you can start burning muscle a little bit. So you got to play with it. But I'm also going to have carb days once or twice a week where I carb up to refill my glycogen stores.
And how far would you go for that, you think?
I'll do it probably. And honestly, I'm going to do it Friday before the match is Friday. I want to, before the big match with Chris Masters, I want to carb up. And so Ryback looks a little smaller. No, but, and I'll do very little fats on that day. And I'll probably do it Saturday as well. And then
do you have a number though that you hit, or are you just kind of gonna consume? I'm
gonna probably aim for between 400 and 500 on those days, because I was reading about 400 is what it takes to refill your glycogen stores. Mm-hmm. So I'm probably gonna go between 400 and 500 on those 2 days. And I always have a good idea with everything that I eat on what I'm getting and all that. So, but I'm really looking forward to it. I think I'm going all the way with it, and that's why I had to switch over to the Tito's vodka. There's certain red wines that have lower carbs in it than others, but the Tito's is very keto friendly, even though alcohol gets converted to sugar in your body and whatnot. But it's the best of all the evils. So,
okay,
just a couple glasses of that tonight with the Zevia, because that's my deal. This is the fun that we have during the week to kind of shoot the shit and have a good time.
Yeah. I was going to say, during this week, there were some moments that were not a fun time. Starting off, where we all know I've been speaking about WrestleCon coming up and WrestlePro, and I woke up from a slumber, and I've been sleeping, pretty well lately. And I get a message from old Dave Destruction, who's a supporter, and he has his own podcast. I'll plug him again, Podcast 101. He's a nice guy.
Great guy, yeah.
And he goes, "Hey, just letting you know that the advertisements for WrestlePro at WrestleCon," he's like, "are they happening at the Hyatt or are they happening at the Wyndham?" And I went, "Oh no!" And I start looking at all my advertisements, and I go, "Okay, the convention is at the Hyatt, but the wrestling's at the Wyndham." And I've been fucking promoting this online, and I kid you not, I've put $1,500. I know that may be not a lot to some people, but it is a lot to me in terms of advertising.
No, $1,500 is $1,500. That's a lot of money, yeah.
On a Orlando Facebook ad to the wrong fucking address. And literally the ad ran up last night. So I'm like, oh, cool. Because I've noticed that tickets have moved a little bit. We have like 4 second rows left. Hopefully they're gone by this show. But I've sold over 350 tickets, and it's not fantastic, but it's not bad either. And I went, holy fuck! I just flush money down the toilet. So that's how that started. And Mark Carino didn't really realize, but we fixed that. And then later on the day, I was handling go through the day of doing different wrestling stuff, handling my own stuff and school, and handling stuff for you and projects for Wade. So a rather important business matter came through on my end for you, and I'm like, okay, I'm going to inform Ryback the details. Let's see what happens. And I felt scolded when you were in your keto flu based on your response. So much so where I was like, oh boy. I put the phone down after. I'm like,
no,
wow.
But we've in all fairness, and I stand by everything I said still. I just think, but and we're not going to go into details of anything,
no.
But it's like the same. It's a conversation that you've had on different occasions with people, and I was just like, and I'm not entertaining anything. I'm really happy in my life right now, and I don't think anybody can understand. It's a different mindset, and I get to. The ultimate freedom in life is working for yourself, and I can't stress that enough. And I am beyond happy right now, which leads me to the guy tonight when I was running all around today, and I came from the stem cell doctor, and I had to hurry and go tan because I need to tan today and tomorrow before the big shows this weekend in Cali. And I swung by Carl's Jr. and got a couple low carb burgers without the sauce. And the gentleman working the window goes, "Oh, wow, Ryback." And I go, "Hey, buddy." And he gave me my food. He charged my card. And he goes, will you give me an autograph? And I go, sure. And he hands me a pen, and he's just staring at me. And I'm just staring at the guy. And I go, cool. And he goes, wow. And then I go, do you have a piece of paper? And he goes, yeah. And we're just staring at each other back and forth. And I go, I'll sign it if you give it to me. And then he like ran and got the paper. And it was like a
You should have drove away.
Yeah, drive away with the pen. I got you, buddy. And I do the autograph, but it's on a piece of receipt paper, and I signed it on the console in the old Big Guy Challenger, and it like ripped as I'm signing. Guy signed so goddamn hard because I had to try to do it all gentle, but there's like holes in the paper. But I give it back to him, and he goes, "You going to TNA?" And I go, "Fuck no!" And then I drove off.
Oh Jesus!
But because TNA is not even a place anymore, so. And then I just go, no, I'm very happy in life right now. Then I drove off, and nothing against them. I just didn't. It's just answering the question truthfully. So, and TNA doesn't exist.
That's right. It's now Impact Wrestling with that beautiful owl. I don't know if you've seen the owl.
I don't even know what channel. I don't know any of that. Like, are they on TV anywhere? Are they on?
Yeah, they're on. It's still Pop.
I don't get that out in Vegas, so I don't
really.
Yeah,
huh?
I probably could add it to the cable service, but my cable bill's already like $250 a month. I'm not looking to pay anymore. I've tried to cancel it, but the mother watches a lot of TV. I don't watch or outside of Shark Tank. The mother, like she was like, I told her I was like, I'm thinking of canceling the cable bill, and I just saw her reaction, and she was just like, oh, I like to watch TV. And I was like, well, I have Netflix. Like, there's all kinds of shit on that, like, you could watch. And, like, but she's really big on when she's not working, watching her TV and stuff. So, and I go, oh, okay. I thought living for free, with me for free would be enough. But I'll keep paying the cable. No worries. I love her. I can't. What am I going to do? Cancel the cable on her? I can't do that. So
of course.
But I'm also not going to add Pop TV just to have I'm also because I never watch it. So. But you can watch everything on YouTube anyways, if you want to watch a match or anything for the most part. So, but yeah, just that. I didn't mean to yell at you. I never yelled at you. Did I yell at you in the message?
I think you just got really kind of heated by the conversation,
it was the same one. It was the same one we've had, though. I think that's why.
Yeah,
not you. You're just doing your job.
That's exactly. I'm just doing my job, pal. Don't kill the messenger.
No, you're the guy that you get to hear me bitch. I don't, because I'm not gonna. You and JD are the only two I talk to essentially that I'm gonna bitch and talk about things and stuff. So I apologize if you sent me a text. You go, I was frightened by that text, dude. I was at the gym and I felt really bad. I was like, oh man. And I was like, I didn't yell at you at any, but I think over the situation of I'm happy in life right now. The supplement line is my main priority. Wrestling is for fun right now. I don't care about being on TV. So
gotcha.
Yeah.
So I want to do, if you want to do reviews of the week.
Yeah. What do we have this week?
I'm trying to, I thought I took a screenshot of a certain review that I really want to read. And, we play this game every week, and I'm going to let you decide. I have 3 that I want to read. Okay. And you tell me which one, that you want to crown the winner.
I got to actually send out last week's winner. They contacted me this week. I got to send theirs out tomorrow before I take off to Cali. So
okay. And if people are in the New York, New Jersey area, and if they want to trade their thing for tickets to a WrestlePro event, by all means do so. But not front row.
I like that. That's cool. Yeah.
Not second row either.
People like to have options, and I think that's good to give them an option on everything. So,
and you know what? I'll say it here that there is conversation with the Big Guy T-shirts available on Pro Wrestling Tees. So if you people, we never plug any of that stuff. But if you want to go over there, check that out.
Yeah, I do have my own section at Pro Wrestling Tees. I'm with them for this year only. So check them out. They got some cool designs, and we got the "Don't Be a Fucking Mark" shirt, and we got the Conversation with the Big Guy, the official podcast shirt, which I wouldn't mind. I would actually like to sell those at the shows and stuff. I was going to get some done for WrestleMania week. because I was going to actually contact them to do some of the blue Ryback, the cartoon ones with the Feed Me More. I should maybe get some of the Conversation with the Big Guy shirts for this weekend because we're going to be together out there.
Yeah, absolutely. So here are the reviews. Feed Me More Podcast by Luke S87. These guys are great. I heard about the show on JR's podcast, and I like the inside scoop on the WWE. Don't listen around women or children because their language is rough, but this is a fun podcast. I love the health tips. I bought the test booster a few weeks ago, and I am feeling the difference. Maybe Mr. Ryback could create a supplement to help with hair loss. Baron Corbin could really use some. I didn't know that was in there.
Broski, too.
You know it.
Speaking of that, I'm the hair loss guy. You've embraced you're a bald man by choice.
By choice. I would like to just say that again. By choice. I can grow a full head of hair. I have a little bit of the widow's peak, but I can grow a nice full head of hair still.
Well,
so.
You were talking about the stem cells before, and they have that now for hair, and I'm going to look into that, and I might get that done. But for those struggling, Topics, TOP. Gosh, I think TOPPICK. It's what me and Broski use to kind of make us look a decade younger. It feels.
I thought Broski uses the pellets like from Shallow Hal, the guy with the guy from Seinfeld with the George with the tail.
He doesn't.
He does the pellets on his hair because he always used to get it all over the mat, didn't he?
Well, Topics. No, actually, for a while I know he was using Kabuki, which is another one.
What the hell?
That's more of like a spray paint kind of. Like fill it in quickly, but Topics is
what a horrible way to live your life.
Oh, it's horrible. I have to do this every single day. Anytime I leave,
why not just embrace what you had? Like I just don't understand.
Oh, you know why? Because guys like you and Broski started a fucking mass chain of how I'm dying from cancer when I had a crew cut. So that's
no, that was the one time I make a goddamn joke with you. Like it. There's pictures of me where I look bad in the shot. Like it happens to all of us.
I know.
I feel bad. The one time I did it, it kind of caught on like wildfire with you. With like, oh yeah, he does look like he has cancer or something. I felt really bad about that.
No, it's fine. I've thought about going down the crew cut, but I want to give it one more try with because I had the surgery and it didn't work very well. I went to a shitty doctor. So here's the second.
The key to being bald is you got to have a full face.
See, I have a big head. I think it would just be, I don't know. I feel like I'd look kind of like a Joey Mercury type head, if that makes sense.
It always feels weird at first, and then you would just be totally normal once you got it. And everybody would adjust. It's just the way it always is.
So, second review. Bret Hart blames Seth Rollins. Bret blames Seth for this top-of-the-line, funniest, most wrestling-related podcast hosted by Ryback. And the one Pat Buck, who usually can keep me entertained from crazy stories off the top of their heads to cheap plugs and the crazy smart tips from a former Gold's Gym employee and Goldberg lookalike. Thanks for the don't mix fats and carbs together. We'll always remember that. In the meantime, I sit and write this review. I am waiting on the next Monday to hear the best podcast on iTunes. As I write this, my girlfriend is tempting me to feed her more, but the review is more important. So that was the second one.
Yeah, not really thrilled with that.
Okay, was not a fan. The last one, I think you will enjoy this one. Let me just fucking get to it. God damn it. Massage.
And just so he knows why I didn't like it, the Goldberg lookalike, I just think is just a cheap insult. So
Massage Parlor Aficionados by Max Sex Power, aka the Revolting Blob, who I actually know this man as.
Okay. I like him already.
He does have a podcast too, the Joe Gomez podcast. He's actually nice. As a resident of Tampa, it warmed the cackles of my heart to hear that I'm not the only one who has struggled with an Asian massage addiction. Until now, I've been afraid to speak about the struggle I go through on a daily, sometimes twice daily basis.
Whoa, that's bad.
But Ryback and Pat have made me feel like I have a safe haven to not only share my story and get the help I need, but to also increase my visits to thrice on Wednesdays. Thank you guys for letting me know that I'm not alone. By Max Sex Power. So
that's our winner for the week for him sharing that story with us. And, I'm sure he's a good guy. He's doing I don't visit those anymore because they're just not something. The rush is over. It was a rush for a short period of my life, but I always got I was always adamant. I always got the full massage. I always told you this.
Yeah, you were big on the full massage. Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't going in there to just get jerked off. I needed the full. I needed the full massage. Like you can't just like. Otherwise, in my mind, it was wrong to just go in there and be like, "Oh yeah, I need to get jerked off," because I don't. I liked getting massaged, and while in the relaxed state, it's just the full body massage. It's and people are going to form their opinions or whatnot, but fuck off. It's what they used to do back in the day.
I mean, I got another massage this week, but it wasn't from an Asian place. Full, I swear to legitimate. I'll even plug the Massage for Wellness in Hicksville near the Creative Pro School.
Sounds legit, though.
Oh,
that's
my
good.
God, dude. It was after tip, it was $105.
Yeah.
But like my shoulder, my back and everything, like it was such a good massage where I sat in my car after and like I couldn't move for like,
Wow.
I couldn't move for like 10 minutes. I was like, I feel great right now. Like I could fall asleep, like pain free. And I felt good today. I did a real big heavy day at the gym. So there's a positive to massages.
I have my own massage table. I have in my massage and meditation room. It's a heated massage table where I've had professional masseuses come over and work on me and stuff. So just because the rush is gone from the going, it's just I had the same person for a long time coming over, legit massages and everything. And
do you still have the inversion table?
Yeah, I still have that. I haven't done it though ever since with all the back stuff, and like my back is now really, really strong from doing all the rehab stuff, and my back feels the best it's felt in the last 3 or 4 years. So, but I haven't done any inversion or anything like that, and but I will eventually. I'll do it again. But it was kind of aggravating my symptoms that I had at the time with my muscle spasms and whatnot in my back. So because wrestling just fucks up your body, especially doing it 5 days a week and for any extended period of time. But I still got that up there, and I don't go in that room all that often anymore, but I'll occasionally just go in there and chill out in a small room. The house is fairly large, so I like to kind of sometimes be in a small room. It just makes me feel good. It's weird, but I lived in apartments a lot of my, outside of when I was, growing up, we had houses and whatnot, but there's comfort in living in an apartment because it's not that big, and when you have a larger house, it's more upkeep, and I like to do a lot of things myself, so it's more stress. And sometimes it could feel empty at times, and it's sometimes just comforting to sit in a small room. And like I meditate, that's why it's my meditation. I'll sit in there, and it's a regular sized bedroom, but I like to sometimes just sit in there because I feel, I don't know, it's like a safe place for me. It's like my gym. My gym is a safe place for me. It's where it's more condensed, and I just feel safe in there. It's my safe place mentally where I like to relax. But that's our winner of the massage. What's his name?
Max Sex Powers, his real name. God, why am I blanking out on his? He was at the wedding. Remember the revolting blob wearing the purple mask at my wedding?
No.
You don't? Oh man.
Well, was I drunk?
You weren't. No, you were sober. You were pretty hungover, I believe.
Yeah, I was drunk the night before the wine. We talked about that from all the wine that night when I went out. Then I went out with that girl afterwards.
That's right. But
just send me a screenshot of your name, Revolting Blob. When you said the Joe Gomez podcast, you talking about Joe Gomez from Florida?
No.
The WCW worker I was thinking of. He's a great guy.
Who was pretty much the mayor of Tampa, I feel like. He was a very well-connected man.
Yeah, has real estate. He's smart. He makes a lot of money. He's probably better off than everybody that was like in the main event of WCW.
Yeah, it probably is. This is
legitimately is Joe Gomez from Tampa, Florida. Is the man. I always liked that business aspect of him. He always used to come up to me during my broken ankle days at Cultus Fitness, and just very complimentary and very good-hearted man. And I got to get his number again and shoot him a message. I haven't talked to him in a long time.
Yeah, but I forget the name of I think their podcast is Car Gomez, but Joe DeLeo is the Revolting Blob, and he won this week.
Just go ahead and say send a screenshot, and you get a choice of your own free supplement from Feed Me More Nutrition with the protein pre-workout or the Big Guy All Natural Test Booster. And we'll go ahead and throw a gift card from El Pollo Loco in there for you too. and a free Feed Me More Nutrition shaker bottle.
All right, congrats, Blob. All right, what do you want to get to next? We have questions here. I don't know which order you want to go to. We did have a little...
I think there was some news in the wrestling world.
Let's get right to it. I mean, and I saw a couple tweets about it. They wanted our take on the whole, and I'll say unfortunate situation that happened with
absolutely
with Paige and the leaked pictures. So this is a conversation with the big guy. So I'm going to ask your take on it, obviously, first.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, and I was on the Shining Wizards podcast the other day, and they brought that up. And the easiest thing for me to say is just, I think everybody has to keep in mind, and whether you're a WWE superstar or not, like, I hate to break the news to everybody, but all the WWE men have a penis, and all the WWE divas have a vagina, and everybody has sex.
Yeah.
Like, everybody is, partake in regular human being activities, and just because you perform in front of a camera in front of millions of people, that does not mean that you all of a sudden become not human. And I think everybody has to remember that, and to remember that everybody has feelings and is dealing with their own life problems day in and day out. And it's really easy to sit back and to judge people and to form your own opinion on things and to sit online and be a real piece of shit. But I think everyone in this situation should be compassionate. And I think we should let it, it's human beings having sex, and it's not a big deal. It really isn't. It really, truly, but I feel like, and a lot of the fucking marks don't have sex, and because they would have to have a woman to partake in that, or another human being, and they don't have, and those are the ones that will probably raise the most, concerns and outrage over. What is there to outrage over? Human beings having sex. They're free that period in their lives to do whatever they want to do. And she was hacked into a court, supposedly, and I don't know all the details on it, but from what I know, it wasn't like she put all this stuff online.
Well, she definitely did not. That's pretty clear. But do you think this was a hack, or do you think someone put that stuff out there? I mean,
I don't know. I remember I was talking to you last week, and you were saying, I wonder if Maddox put that out.
Yeah.
But why would he put that? It doesn't make, I was looking at that. I feel like he's a smart enough guy to realize that if he does that, there's going to be ramifications with that. I feel like in this day and age, that's without the other people's consent in the videos, you're running a really high risk. And I don't know him that well, and I don't know what's going on in his life, so I don't think he would do that. And I don't know how that benefits him to do that in him in the positions that he was in.
Yeah.
It doesn't in holding a camera while the girl he was
that's
with
true.
at the time. It doesn't make in getting fucked by another human being which cool if they're in an open relationship, whatever. And nobody can judge. That's what they chose to do, and they're human beings having sex, and it's unfortunate, and I feel bad, and I think it'll blow over and it'll let it go away, but I'm sure there's a lot of people that have had a lot of good jerk-off material for the weeks.
I'm sure. I was just questioning the whole thing of whether it's a hack or not a hack, just because, I mean, the problem is that this...
That's scary. It's scary if it's a hack that people, I think if it is a hack, you have to be really, in this day and age, careful of what you have on your phone.
But I think, more so, it's not a... I don't want to play conspiracy theorist here, but I do think that, here's the thing I question, is that Paige, she's a young girl, and I think this goes back to, and this can be public knowledge, is that WWE, at one point, I feel like at a certain time period, they actually frowned upon people, or there was a thing said that at one point that you probably won't get hired if you're above the age of 30 into developmental. That was a thing.
Yeah.
Things have changed greatly since then, where they actually realize that's not the proper thing to do, and that's not absolutely not. Where now, and this is a legitimate fact that has been told to me through people that have just been hired, that they prefer people who are 30 and over because they don't have the maturity to function at that job. And I question things based on intention. And I think that...
Well, they gave her the world very early on, sorry to cut you off, but and just so and a little insider on this because I was there during this period is. I feel like, and they gave her that mega push early on because AJ was kind of on her way out with the CM Punk stuff, and they are spiteful like that, and they will do things like that, and like we're gonna make another big star,
sure.
And like, whereas you'll see she's not going to be in that if she ever does return there. Like, it's not going to. But that's how they determine whether to push someone, not because they want to choose to make that person a star, but because they want to get back at somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like that's how they operate on a lot of things, and that's not being bitter or angry. That's telling the truth on the situation.
No, and I completely 1,000% agree.
This young girl though, who is you're giving the world to at a very, very young age, But everybody's different. You look at a guy like Bo Dallas, who's somebody we didn't talk about before on Guys Not Used. Mm-hmm. He's so young still. He got into it at like 18 years old, and legit tough guy, great human being. He's part of the whole Rotunda family with Bray and Mike, and like those guys are two of the best guys in the business. And just human being wise, they were raised really, really well. And but Bo hasn't had nearly the success as Bray has, but he's just as hardworking. Mm-hmm. He's just as talented, but it's just for whatever reason they haven't used him in a role that is fitting for him. Outside, I like the Bo Dallas when he was doing the positivity stuff. I thought that was very entertaining, but they wouldn't let him. They should have let him wrestle longer matches because he's very capable of it, and he's done it in NXT for an extended period of time. And but he's mature. He's a young guy that's mature. But this just goes against how a guy like that could handle a lot, and they don't give him anything.
Yeah.
And then somebody else is that you don't know how they're going to handle things and whatnot. It's just nothing makes sense.
But my whole point with this is that completely I agree with you. Some can handle it at a young age, and some can't. But I think it goes a little bit deeper where people need to be kind of, dare I say, vetted for, WWE is always going to be a big deal. So if you hire certain people, I would hear a lot of, I don't know what the word differences or discrepancy. I don't know, like the differences between like a JR, how you'd hire someone as opposed to later on with other people. And
Canyon Seaman in a car ride at WrestleMania years ago asking me, "Hey, can I ask you a personal question?" "Yeah, go ahead." "How can I make sure I don't hire guys that are on steroids? I've been making a lot of mistakes lately."
Shut up. That's
and
real?
I go, I swear to God.
Oh, my God.
And I was like, "Oh, cool. You're insulting me right to my fucking face, first of all, asshole." And because I hadn't been on anything, and maybe
that's a compliment, though. Like, hey, you look like that.
You're the resident big guy here, But he and it could have been that too. But I was just like, why is he in a position to hire people if he doesn't know how to hire people? Mm-hmm. But he didn't. I go, well, you don't. I go, he's like, how can I tell if they're on steroids? And I go, usually their shoulders are pretty square. Their shoulders get a square shape rather than being rounded, because they tend to. A lot of guys like to inject in their shoulders. And I said, I go, they just have a different look to them. I go, you could just tell. I go, it's hard to describe. I go, you could just tell when a guy's on steroids. A lot of guys don't have proper nutrition and whatnot. And I go, obviously the acne and things like that. And I go, I can usually tell it a guy, and I'm pretty accurate. And but he's not a guy. He's never done steroids, so he would never know. Mm-hmm. But I remember that was a question. He was hiring guys, and they were getting down there, then they were losing a shit ton of weight and looked like shit because they don't know anything about proper nutrition and training. They just
that's so interesting to me.
Themselves. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And going back to what I was saying before, that if you get to know the kind of person where they come from, you might have a better grasp on, because you and I have both seen some crazy people come in and out of that system where the company has wasted a lot of money that could be allocated to someone who does deserve it, wasting it on bad hires. And I'm not saying that I think she's been a good hire. I just think that they threw this, I don't know what the fuck I would be like if I got those opportunities that Paige got at 20 years old. I might have been.
And nobody does. I don't think you ever fully know until you it's not fair to say that everybody's going to handle it the same way, because they're not, because everybody's raised differently and whatnot. She's not done anything wrong.
No.
But I think she's more of a, I feel like she's more of a free spirit type of human being
Yeah.
that maybe doesn't fit in the WWE system quite as well. And she's done great there, and she's had success there within the roles that they've given her. But she's also very strong-minded, which does not always work out well for people like that there. And she's very young and outspoken too. So, and she's talented. So it's unfortunate. She's done nothing wrong in any of
No.
this. So whoever they find responsible for doing this.
Yeah.
Should
Serious
go
jail
down.
time. But one thing I
set
just
an example. You should not be able to do this to other people. It's like that affects their lives for the rest of their lives.
And the reason why I question if it was a hack or not, because I dare I say, I don't know of any girl that would really save that kind of, even if a girl, they don't save that stuff. And that sort of, at least I don't think so. And I've never...
You never know, though. I mean, and who's to say? A lot of things
Okay.
With iPhones today, and I've had things where I've had phone numbers show up in my phone that I've deleted and erased from my phone, but the iPhone, the iCloud and all that has brought it back. And where updates on my phone...
Do you use the cloud? I never use it.
I
don't
have
trust
the
it at all.
cloud, and it's brought back.
Okay.
I've literally numbers from 10 years ago showing back up in my phone that I didn't even have with the number that I have now. And I was just like, holy fuck, that can, if I was married or something, and these that can get me in trouble. And I don't know how, I didn't put those back in my phone. So I don't know the deal with videos and all that. Like if old videos that you delete can somehow pop up, or if somebody can access them. Like, I don't know.
So the one thing I was basically questioning is that with the hack thing is that she's a very, like you said, free spirit. So I just question, she's in a very committed, loving relationship with Del Rio.
Yeah,
it's public knowledge. I'm going to imagine the fact that they have a very, loving, they probably send each other a lot of stuff.
Yeah,
and if she was hacked, then why wasn't there, don't you think there'd be, I'm not saying stuff with her and him, but like messages or pictures to him? It was so limited with what came out that makes me question the fact that, did this guy put this stuff out there? And maybe I'm a little jaded in the fact, and I'll fully admit it, I'm not a fan of Mr. Maddox. I've never been.
Yeah.
I don't really talk a lot of smack by a lot of people.
Responsible for ruining my career from a storyline perspective.
He gave you that low blow, and it was all downhill from there, man. And then he gave a promo on Raw that was very mirroring to what my life was.
I forgot about that's when I killed him after. They had me go out and kill him and send him off in an ambulance. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Coming to Smoky Bones all day long and not really tip the bartenders after watching football.
Oh, I forgot about it. He's a South Carolina Panther guy. He used to always come in there. I never really served him, I don't think, when we were working there. And he would come in beefy, right? And eat with his friends and then eat all day and drink. And then I remember you telling me about that.
Yeah, just like whenever,
I've never been a fan of anybody who doesn't tip.
Or maybe not tipped well. I just never understood someone that never wanted to really get along with the guys, and I never saw him in all the years I was around him click with a lot of the guys. I just never understood why. Yeah. But that just made me wonder. I'm not accusing, but it's just it was so limited.
That's a very good point. There's nothing else with her. It's all constricted to one little period, and that you would have to imagine she's had. And if that's a really good point. I never even thought about that, to be quite honest.
No one's saying he was hacked. Everyone's saying she's a victim of the hack. And I'm going, is that the case? Or did someone just kind of, put this out? And there's been other people, not with her, but with other women in wrestling that have had things come out lately. And I wonder, I'm like, are they all, quote, hacks, or are... I don't know. There's been pictures that came out with other people, and it's unfortunate, man. It's just you got to be careful with what you have.
There's a lot of fake pictures out there floating around. There's a site, and by the way, this is a very real thing. The Heater, Mark Carrano in WWE, would sit in Gorilla, and Billy Kidman, who I really, 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 really like. Billy Kidman
Sure.
is a great guy. He likes to talk a little bit of shit, but he'll do it to your face, and like he'll laugh about it. He's like one of the honest ones in a fucked up system. Like he's like you could just tell he's a normal dude, and but they would like to fuck around. But mostly Mark Carrano, he would like pull up pictures of like old Skip Sheffield with an erection and like a dildo up his ass. Like these fans will make fake pictures with me, with me looking all medicine and like the next like in one of my post photos, but I'm holding onto a dildo with an erection, and like they would literally sit in Gorilla before you go out and look at naked pictures all the time. Like mostly Mark Carrano, and like
Come on.
And he always would go, Ryback, like Vince saying my name. And then he would like, I would like, and just like, and I'd laugh. It's funny. But then he'd turn around and show me a naked picture. And I'm like, why the fuck is this guy just sitting up here looking at naked pictures of Duzo in Gorilla next to Vince? Like, what the fuck? This is real stuff that goes on. And I was just like, I always was just like, man, what a weirdo. And like, and then I always saw like the agents all hated him and like, he was just a fucking mark they hired years ago who smelled and like made fun of him. Like he somehow stuck around long enough to get in a position where he's just their little bitch up there, and it's what it is, and that's what he is. So, but you know, good for him in those pictures. But there's a lot of fakes out there, is what I was getting to.
I got that.
A lot of people at WWE are happy when I talk shit about Mark Carrano. By the way, from top to bottom. I'm talking headquarters at Stanford messages. Thank you for telling the truth about Mark Carrano. And yeah, I'm in good talks with. I talk with everybody still. A lot of people there outside of like Hunter and Vince and them, Kevin Dunn and Stephanie, Shane. I don't talk Shane. Shane and Stephanie were always really, really good to me. I like them a lot. Like Stephanie was always a sweetheart with me, and always just like never ever saw a bad thing with her. Never saw her act bad. I've done hospital visits with her, and like Shane just seems so normal and like has such a good head on his shoulders, and like he's not like the rest. It's just different, like in a very, very positive, good way. But yeah, but outside of that, like people that work there message me all the time, and I always think that's funny. I actually saw somebody message me this week. They have my images up in the mailroom still. They have things of me on the wall for like my face next to the mailroom for like the mail slot to feed the mail into the slot, like. And I was just like, Jesus, take it down, guys.
Cancel the subscription.
Take
it down.
Cancel the WWE Network subscription and take down my stuff at headquarters. God damn it, he'll be back. They all come back. Crowd will go wild when we play Feed Me More. And then we chop them out.
I think that's all we have on the Paige situation.
Yeah, it sucks. And let it go.
I think they handled it honestly in the best way they possibly could.
They handled it very well. Yes,
very well.
That's exactly the way that it should have been handled. They could have even done that in the ring with them, and it would have been just fine. But backstage and acknowledge it, but just move on. And the crowd—that's all the crowd wants. Sometimes it's just that you acknowledge something, and then they'll move on with you with it. And they did, and they handled that. That was something they did very well.
Sure, absolutely. There was another thing too, that the new WWE's having a UK tournament again, and this does involve Paige. So I will say it here because I've I'm kind of around a lot of this stuff. But Paige's family is known for running independent shows. She came from her father is a promoter, her mother's a wrestler,
a wrestling family, yeah.
And they're running. The Rock's running a whole movie about Paige, obviously. So they run shows in England, and they booked a show, and they were having one in a particular building. And WWE swooped in and is running a show the day before their families.
Really?
Yeah. Either the day before or the week before. So,
was that kind of like last minute with WWE? Like their show was announced, and then they announced it right before. Or?
That's from the information that I have. Yeah, that's what I've been told.
Yeah.
So and things like that,
nothing shocks me with anything.
It's just, I mean, that's the whole reason why the UK tournament existed, and I think I said this on a past episode, is because the World ITV had which was like the second biggest network, I believe, in UK. Don't quote me wrong on this, but they're a very big network. They had a special on New Year's Eve called World of Sport Wrestling, which dates back to like, 1970s, 80s wrestling with like, Johnny Saint and Fit Finlay and stuff like that. So they brought it back for a one-night special. It did very well, or it did 1.5 million. It did decent enough, and on a major network. So, but WWE caught wind of this potential network having a wrestling show, and they stepped into it, and they said, we got to do something about this. And they scrambled. That's where the UK tournament came from. And that's a fact. That's not like opinion. They did that because of that.
It's really hard. I mean, they're the biggest game in town, and they're trying to protect their business. And it's really, you just got to keep plugging away, and all the independent promotions got to keep plugging away. But there's a lot, like you talked about Ring of Honor potentially, right? You said something with them.
Yes.
Like, eventually,
that was the next thing.
There's enough money that goes around where, in WWE, they need is all the content. The more content they have, the better for their network. They're not doing anything wrong from a business perspective. They're a big business. They're the biggest fish in the pond, and they have a lot of control. But it's like, I kind of look at it like, if Ring of Honor, the owners and all them really truly loved what they were doing and loved wrestling as they say they did, why would they do that then? But they'll buy into it.
Well, here's why. Yeah. I'll tell you exactly why. So this came out tonight, and granted, we're recording this on a Wednesday, but the Pro Wrestling Sheet with Ryan Satin put this out there, and I haven't been saying this for a while. I've heard this. People have heard rumblings about this for the last year. But I think eventually Ring of Honor will be sold to WWE.
Okay.
Ring of Honor has not produced profit, and I think that they're a company that sells ad times. So basically what I'm trying to say is that I think post-WrestleMania, I think that WWE will eventually acquire Ring of Honor because I don't believe that to the major company that owns Ring of Honor, which is Sinclair Broadcasting, they're eventually going to look and go, has this company made us money? And the answer is no.
Okay.
And even though they can sell ad times and make things, it's so incredibly hard to produce a profit in pro wrestling unless you have the right people at the helm. And it is possible, but it's not for this company. Yeah. It's not. And people want to say I'm wrong, go ahead. Do they have some great houses? Yeah, they do sometimes. And sometimes they don't. And even if you have a great house, that doesn't mean if you look at the budget sheet, you can look at it and go, holy fuck, we still lost 20, 30, 40 grand or $2,000. So I really believe WWE is going to acquire Ring of Honor.
What do you think they're going to get it for? What do you think something like that goes for?
I don't know. I think that the biggest value is going to be in their tape library, because I don't think WWE, what I think will happen, they'll get the tape library to use whatever they want to do and put on the network for people that have been through there. That comes valuable for someone like a Seth Rollins or a Kevin Owens, where they'll have all this material. In addition to that, I don't think they'll keep the company going. I think they will completely close it up. And I picture Triple H coming out and cutting a promo and taking the good guys or the guys that they see fit from there that have some recognition, the Briscoes or Adam Cole or whomever, and equating them to NXT, because right now NXT does not have the same indie quote buzz as it used to.
They need more guys.
They need more guys. I think they need I don't know if they need more guys. I think that they need more attention. And I think that Hunter's been so busy with WrestleMania and other shit that he hasn't been there to fully kind of put a focus on NXT. And I think the next thing that'll come along, since it's Hunter's brand, will be that he'll take Ring of Honor guys, he'll put them there, and they'll just suck it up, just like you said. They're the big fish in the pond, and that will be that. I think things kind of like raised eyebrows to me that, Bubba Ray signed a year deal. To me, I don't think it's a bad fit. I just don't understand it.
Okay.
Financially. So I'm like, is there some sort of thing with the Hardys? They go to Ring of Honor, and it came out today that the Hardys have been offered some sort of deal.
Really?
It seems weird that they would come out and the Hardys would say, hey, we have Ring of Honor deals, but you can't do that with another company. That's contract tampering. And there's been issues with Ring of Honor and contract tampering in the past with WWE, but it all depends. I don't believe that the current operators of Ring of Honor, a guy named Joe Koff, who's their chief, I think, operating officer, but he's not the boss. He's the boss of Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
He has to answer to where the money comes from, which is Sinclair.
Yeah.
So I think he would be like, fuck, I don't want to go to I don't want this to sell, but it's not up to him.
Okay.
It's up to fucking... So that's what I think is going to happen. If I'm wrong, hey, I eat my words. But I'm predicting now that's going to happen.
Can you get me booked on one Ring of Honor show before they go out of business?
I don't know if they can meet your rate, man, but we'll try. Why, you really want to do it?
I would do a Ring of Honor show. I love people think I can't wrestle. There's like, it's just fucking, it makes me laugh. I've come from...
Well, you know who I booked for a future show that wants to wrestle you badly, and I said you do too, is Michael Elgin, who's in and out of there often. Yeah.
When was it? He told you that?
Yeah. He told me because I pulled the Great Khali from one of my shows, and Elgin and a couple other people are the replacements for it. But he's like, I want to wrestle Ryback really bad. No,
that'd be cool. That'd be fun. I wanted to say I think it's really unfortunate, and I think we should touch on this before we'll take a break shortly after this, and do the tips of the weekend, and the blast from the past in WrestleMania 29 is a really unfortunate event happened this past week with Jim Ross and his wife Jan. I believe she was involved in a car accident. She was on a bike. One of those Vespa things, I believe. And it was hit from behind after coming back from the gym, I believe, and was in very, very serious condition, and was very, very hurt very badly, and hospitalized, and unfortunately passed away, as we found out today, last week listening to this podcast. So just would like everyone to keep Jim Ross in your mind, positive thoughts and vibes his way, and I can't even imagine losing your life partner after he's been with her from the beginning. So sucks, and it just makes you realize how precious life is, and it's we all get caught up in the day-to-day activities of life and whatnot, but I think it's important, just as a reminder with that, to be thankful for each and every day that we have on this earth, because tomorrow is never promised. And with that, I think we should take a break and come on back.
Hey everybody, Pat Buck here. I love soda. I really do. But the only soda I'll touch is Zevia, and I'll tell you why. While other sodas out there contain enough sugar to send you into a diabetic coma or have artificial sweeteners like aspartame and sucralose that are linked to cancer, with Zevia, you know you're getting something natural, clean, and 0 calorie. Zevia is sweetened with stevia, a miracle leaf that's naturally 0 calories and 200 times sweeter than sugar. Stevia has been consumed for thousands of years in the South America, and Zevia was the first 0 calorie soda on the market to use stevia instead of artificial sweeteners. They revolutionized the soda game. Not only is Zevia naturally sweetened, but their drinks contain no artificial ingredients, no artificial coloring agents, nothing fake. Plus, stop beeping at me. Plus, they're non-GMO project verified. With Zevia, you get a safe and frankly delicious soda that you and your family can enjoy guilt-free. Zevia offers 14 different flavors of soda. I like the cream soda the best. 4 flavors of sparkling water, mix it with vodka, and 3 delicious energy drinks. I want you to try it for yourself. I really do. So here's what Zevia and I are offering. For listeners of Conversation with the Big Guy, free 6-packs. If you live in the United States or Canada, all you have to do is go to www.zevia.com/podcast and sign up to get a free 6-pack. In a couple weeks, you'll get one in the mail. Once again, that's www.zevia.com/podcast, where you can sign up to get your free 6-pack of Zevia. Simple as that, and I guarantee you'll end up loving it. Enjoy the show.
And we're back. All right. As usual, every week, before we get into the blast from the past this week, I want to leave you guys with a little information to maybe apply to your lives that can help you out. And we'll leave it at that. The quote of the week this week is from the Grant Cardone 10X Book of Quotes. And it is, if you are flying under the radar, you'll never launch into orbit. And it's okay to play it safe occasionally, but there's other times you got to take chances and just, You got to throw it all out there, and that's playing it safe. Never never got anybody to the top. Fitness tip of the week: work around injuries. When you're injured, a lot of people deal with different things. Stay active. You know, if your shoulder's bothering you, don't do shoulders that day, but go in and do your conditioning, do your cardio, do abs, do legs, do something. Don't just make that as an excuse to just sit at home and watch TV all day. There's many different things you could do to be active and keep yourself healthy. And kind of tying in with everything with the keto diet this week, the book of the week is Simple Keto by Simland, Simland. It's like about an hour and 15 minutes long. It's a good introduction into the keto diet. And I think you guys, anybody interested on leaning up and losing some body fat, check it out. And that's it.
Very good. You can go to audibletrial.com/big guy to get your free Audible book and, 30 days trial, whatever it is. Sorry, Tito's vodka. Yeah. So we're at this point now. We're going to do a little blast from the past, and I'm not going to go very in long form. I'm going to go through the notes I had, or basically kind of speaking from, maybe questions I got leading up to kind of your involvement, considering you were obviously there. And This was, it was your first WrestleMania, correct?
Absolutely, yeah. First one wrestling, yeah.
And actually, ironically, I was there too because I was your guest as friends and family. So I remember my own experience being in that arena.
I forgot about that.
And now the promotional poster had The Rock and John Cena. This was Sunday, April 7th, and it was in 2013. It was right in the MetLife Stadium, which is the home of the Jets and the Giants, because the Jets can't get their own fucking stadium. Attendance was 80,676 people. Okay. The theme for it, you'll remember the theme, it was by Diddy, who I believe played that night, Coming Home. So I'm sure Eddie's already been playing that in the background as we talk about this. So again, WrestleMania 29, it became it was the third highest attended event in the history of WWE.
Okay.
And we said the main event already. So the notes I got, let me see if there's anything interesting in Wikipedia here. I'll go to my notes. My notes are more interesting, I think.
Yeah, just do what you have, whatever questions you have.
Okay.
I don't know how well I can answer them, but I'll do my best.
So the opening, watching this back, I think this was kind of I think it was a cool place to have WrestleMania. I don't know if it was by choice, because New York, New Jersey, we don't get a lot of bad weather. We get a lot of snowstorms. We're used to that. However, that was the year of Hurricane Sandy. And that was really, I believe it was October of 2012. So yeah, this might have been why they picked the New York, New Jersey area, or the stadium might have been new. I'm not really fully certain, but Hurricane Sandy really messed things up here, and it was a really nice emotional open with the governor of New Jersey, Chris Christie, kind of talking about different things in regards to the state. It was a very good tie-in. I thought it was great.
Okay.
And I remember watching this in the catering area for friends and family, and there was no spot for us to watch the show, and we're just kind of looking on monitors, and I can't really see. Opening match, I believe, was Sheamus, Orton, and Big Show versus The Shield. I don't know if you have any recollections of...
I don't even remember. I didn't even know The Shield was... I forgot about... I'd imagine The Shield probably went over on that one, right?
They did. The Shield, even though they technically were heels, they were out... They were out second again. I love pointing that out because I just think it's ironic that, they're supposed to be technically bad guys, but they always have this badass entrance coming through the crowd.
They were the cool heels. That's what Hunter, that's designed. He knows how to, it's protected. That was
absolutely
done on purpose.
My notes said Sheamus looks pretty lean in this one. I don't know why I took a note like that.
He looks great. Now, he actually had that funny commercial I saw this week in the tanning bed. Have you seen that yet?
Yeah, the Snickers commercial. I saw the one with him with that Flair, and the one with Bailey, and it's very good. They're actually funny.
Yep.
And the Miz had a home run too on SmackDown this week with his stuff with Cena. I don't know if you saw that.
No.
Very awesome.
Really?
Yeah.
Good.
So one thing I noticed about this match, and I don't make notes on every match up to yours, but Sheamus and Roman, all those guys are very physical with each other. They beat the shit out of each other,
Yeah.
or at least Sheamus does for a while. And my question to you is that, like, some guys, from your experience, really like to get physical, and some guys I feel like don't like to be touched.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Where's your stance on it, and what's been your experience? Like, is everybody different in terms of that?
A lot of guys always say Sheamus is really, really rough. And, like, I've been in there with him many, many times. We've done live events together, and, like, he's totally fine. Like, I don't mind. I was always taught from Bill DeMott and coming up, hit hard in safe places. Especially if you're a bigger guy, you can't be a big guy and throw fluff because you'll get shit on.
Sure.
So there's and I know, like, Miz, he always used to get shit because he would throw very light things that did not look good, and, like, he got ripped apart early on in his career where he had to tighten up some of his stuff a little bit and work a little more aggressive. So, but I know Sheamus, I've always gotten, like, we've had our differences on things before in the past on little things, but never, like, in the ring. He's always been a pleasure. Like, I've never.
Okay.
So, but he's an aggressive Irishman, and, like, it's how. But Vince will tell him to, like, he's probably works, and he's always been aggressive since I've known him. But, like, if he doesn't work that way, he'll get shit on by Vince. So, and in all fairness, though, and again, hit hard in safe places. So, and not to say
Absolutely.
accidents happen from time to time out there and whatnot, but he never struck me as a guy that I always liked working him. It never bothered me, but, like, I also, like, I can get hit, and I'm not gonna, like, oh man, he hit me. So, kick him in the ribs and break his fucking ribs.
So the Shield goes up in this one. It's kind of building their momentum, and Big Show goes heel after this. And I
Get
looked up
out
on a
of
website.
here! Big Show turned. Oh man!
So, do you know that he's turned 20 times since his debut?
Very confused.
There's a website that gives his exact turns from heel to baby
Jesus Christ!
And you can find it. You can Google this.
Just characters just been raped over. It's not just one raping; it's just raped over and over and over again. And he's like in Big Show. I love Big Show so much, but it reminds me, like, he's just in that abusive relationship where he can't leave, and he's just like, he doesn't know what else. He doesn't know who else is going to accept him, and, like, he's in it for life. I feel like it's going to be fucking 34 more turns before it's over. I
He's
love
turned
Big
a
Show.
total of 20 times, I believe, right now.
So shitty for his character. He's just so fucking confused. Oh, I'm so goddamn angry.
That would be a great character. He just keeps turning, like, every single month.
Bipolar Big Show is what the next one I want to see. Every week, you never know what you're going to get. 1 week, just 1 week it's the glass breaking. He's the biggest baby face in the building. Next week, just boot out of the building. Fuck you, retire. He just doesn't know what the fuck that he is. I love it.
I do too. Oh my god!
Wow, he's so loyal to them. I love Big Show. Just
confused Big Show.
Been put in a diaper and made, like, embarrassed, and, like, he's just god damn it, fucking embarrassed Paul this week. just
20 times,
just raped over and over and over again, and he just, at this point, he just holds the butt cheeks open.
So after that match, we go to the live crowd, and Snooki's in the crowd having a good time.
Snooki.
Next, we get up to.
She looks great, by the way. I saw recent pictures of her. She looks phenomenal now.
Yeah,
she's had kids and, like, leaned up, and, like, you're like, wow, like, got her life together.
The next match is yours, and the one thing I get from this is that it takes me back. We said we'd talk about this,
right.
And I asked you about this. It's obvious. It's a video of you and Mark Henry,
yeah,
and it's the old bench press competition.
Oh yeah,
and I watched it back, and that apparently you guys were going for the NFL Combine record of, I believe it was like 50 something. You guys were trying to.
I think
break
it was
the
50
record
or 51 reps with 225.
Yeah, where does that come from, and why is it done? And then, I mean, I want to know about this. It doesn't seem like a bad idea. It really doesn't.
It was actually really good, and it was actually a well received segment. It was so the 225 bench press is kind of used as a measuring stick in the NFL at the combine of guys coming out of college into the NFL. It's a way to gauge. 225 is considered, I would imagine, like especially in the NFL, it's probably like it's considered a good amount of weight. Like where a lot of guys are around that body weight, you're going to be on average. It's kind of like it's a number that is well received. It's kind of in the middle of everything.
It's like, okay, you're an athlete.
Yeah,
like you're a guy.
So they like to take that weight and see how many times you could bench press it before you can't bench press it anymore. And I believe the world record or the NFL record or whatever is around 50 or 49 or somewhere in that area. So WWE wanted to take the world's strongest man against Ryback and do the 225 bench press competition. And we talked about actually using real weights for this.
And before you even begin, he's a heel for this the entire time, correct?
Yeah.
Or no?
He's a heel.
He is.
Yeah, he's a heel the entire time. He's
Sure.
full-blown heel for this. And he's turned a lot of times too, but he had a lot of credibility still because he had that run with the Hall of Pain where he was a threat still. He hadn't been like...
That was a good run, yeah.
Yeah, he was so, and this was a huge, for me, I would have gotten a really good rub by coming out on top of this one.
So even before that, the pairing of you guys together, how did you feel about that? Were you, because I don't want to say it was random, but it seemed decent. Like, okay, I can get him working with Mark Henry for this.
John Cena used to always bitch about working with Mark Henry. I feel like, he probably had something to do with that. Just my opinion, there's no, like, because I used to hear him bitch about having to work Mark Henry all the time.
Okay.
And I feel like that might be like, oh, let's put him with him and see what, you know what I mean? And then, because I was going with John after. And that's just my honest, that's not bitching. And that's not hating on John. That's the honest truth of what I really think of how that all came together. Because
is this post-retirement, like that big, hoopla? Was that before or after?
That was after all this, so I believe, right?
Oh, that happened after.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I don't know the time frame when he did that. I think it was after. From what I believe, that was after. I'm pretty confident on that.
All right,
but don't quote me on it. But that bench press. So, and Mark at one point was legitimately one of the world's strongest men. And probably the strongest in certain lifts. And obviously wrestling his whole entire career, and his joints are beat up now, and he's at a different stage in life. And even at that point, he's still, though, incredibly strong, especially if you make him angry. But it was one of those, if you have the option of using plates that don't look like the weight, I believe it was between 135 and 155, the actual weight.
Okay, so it wasn't real weights.
It wasn't, as far as they were real weights, but they weren't
real weights.
They were less than 225. So I believe
understood.
it was between 135 and 155. It was enough. It was light enough to feel, and I was like, I'm pretty sure it was like 155. That they told us, or in that vicinity. But the plates were the 45-pound plates. They just weren't as heavy as the 45-pound plates, but they were real metal, same deal. And you could hear them, they still clank when they hit the ground. But when you're dealing with, and we're dropping the weight on my neck afterwards, after having to rep 155 50 times still, or 51 times, and then
it's a lot.
And then work it with him pushing on it and me have to hold it up. You know what I mean? Like in him.
No, I understand completely.
So you're better off playing it safe rather than. And I feel like both of us, with the adrenaline of the people watching, could have done those same numbers with that weight. I really firmly believe that. But it's why risk it when you don't have to in the world of entertainment, and that's what it was. So, but I think they actually put on Wikipedia. They actually legitimately have that on there. that we broke the record that day, or both of us.
Really?
Yeah, something. And I remember seeing that, and you guys are fucking stupid. Whoever put that up, like just, it's not official. None of fuck off. But it just goes to show how stupid people are. But that you wouldn't question that a fake wrestling show might possibly use fake weights. But no, we'll put it up as a fact online. But yeah, no, I thought it was a good deal, and it got him a lot of heat with us, and it made us both look great. And there was nothing wrong with that segment at all.
Well, I meant to ask that because I watched it back, and I questioned that, actually. I thought it was a good idea.
Okay.
But I thought, wouldn't the heat be, watching it back, I believe you guys got to 53.
Okay.
And that you were on par to beat him. And before you even could beat him,
I tied him, and then before I could beat him, he stopped me.
And he stopped you. I don't know. I thought maybe you could have beat him first before that, or is that overthinking?
No, I don't know. I mean, but none of this was done to ever make me. None of this was to make me. So this was what I got the vibe from. This was, everything was taking a little chip out of my character that every way they could, like that. And that's just the truth of the situation. And we'll talk about that with the booking on it and everything in the finish. Because you look, and nothing made sense with any of it, but nothing made sense with me that whole 7 months. Why would you take your rising babyface, who's number 2 in merchandise, and beat him 7 pay-per-views in a row? Why? You wouldn't do that in any normal situation. This guy that's bringing in millions upon millions of dollars on a worldwide scale. People don't want to acknowledge that. And
So at this point, is it number 8? Is WrestleMania your 8th pay-per-view?
I believe we're 7 or 8 right there with the losing streak. Yeah.
Interesting. Fuck. And
I'm thankful for all of it, because it's motivated me. That's why I left. That's not why I left, but realizing that that hard work and effort all throughout the time there there's no rhyme or reason, anything. I was like, I want to have full control over my destiny. And that motivated me. That whole period is what motivated me to start reading even more than I was, and learning about money and making money and not being dependent on them, because I saw everything that they were throwing away. And if you remember Jericho, even during that period, he was even saying before that CM Punk match, they have lightning in a bottle with Ryback, and they should fully capitalize on it. And then they went the complete opposite direction. And I lived it, and it sucks, but I'm thankful for all of it, because it's made me who I am today.
So we get to the bench press thing. You come out, you get a little pyro on your entrance.
No pyro, never had pyro, by the way. Concussion. It was a loud noise.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
But it was a little poof behind you, wasn't it?
No, it was always just a loud noise. I never had pyro. I
could have sworn for that you had a poof of I wrote down that you had a little bit of pyro. Are you 100% sure?
Well, maybe for WrestleMania, maybe they did.
I feel like behind you had when you did that, it was a little puff of pyro.
Yeah, maybe. I can't see. I haven't.
Give him a puff.
I've never watched the match back, so I don't know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't want to relive. I can't. I want to watch it for this, to talk about it. It's such you have to understand. I lived this whole thing of going through that, and then just in every week, the guy's telling me, "Why are you letting him do this with you?" And it's, well, what else am I supposed to do?
What else can you do?
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Fuck. So the match happens, and I could obviously ask you for your thoughts on it. Watching back, I didn't realize how often he went to, the crowd is chanting things like sexual chocolate, and they were a New York, New Jersey crowd. I noticed he grabbed the bear hug an awful lot of times. Yeah. I don't know if you have any thoughts on the match itself.
No, the match was another. And Mark is at the end of his career, and even here, he's at the end of his career. And it's, I know, and me and Mark had spoke before, and he was really, he wanted to do more than what we did. But it wasn't, I like Mark a lot. And it's, Mark doesn't have long matches typically. And I was at a point I was in a position that whole first year where I whereas as years went on, I had a lot more say in my matches. I was in a position being the new guy where I was able to speak my mind on things, but I still had to be. I was in a position you have to be careful. You have to be respectful still of the guys that you're working, which I always was with Punk, Cena, and guys like Mark Henry, because if they say something bad about you, Vince is a fucking mark and believes it. And whereas, because he doesn't have enough, and he already did it with the whole attorney stuff and him trying to fire me with my ankle. It was never going to be about me. But I always try to do the right thing and be respectful. And the match it was nothing special, wasn't bad, wasn't good. Crowd reacted great at the end on shell shocking him after, because it was an impressive feat of strength. But we could have accomplished that really, really with a much less time. That would have favored the match, and Mark is not a guy that wrestles long matches. But they gave us enough time to expose that. So
now the finish is, and you've talked about this on other places too.
Eddie brought this up on his podcast yesterday on the Shining Wizard.
But I have a little bit of a different take on it. So you pick them up, and essentially and I've heard your take on it. How can you imagine someone else going for their own finish and they quote fuck it up? Yeah, it's essentially he holds onto the ropes.
I botched my own finish
You botched your own finish
because they told me to, and I fought for 30 minutes before the show. Why are you doing this to me? People aren't going to with Vince in Gorilla, and him being adamant, just telling me, this is going to be your first excuse as a heel when you turn on Cena tomorrow. That you tripped and fell on your face, and that's what really sets you off and angers you. And I already knew they were. This was the ultimate fuck you to me. That put me in, to fucking put the dirt on top of me before they had me do the job to Cena for and then and if you saw, I fell off heavily. I did the bullying stuff, which had a good run, but then after that it was back to Punk to put more dirt on top, and then Ryback. And it really, really damaged me because they tried and tried for 7 months, and the numbers kept going up. And then finally, this was a way. How do you overcome falling on your face on your own finish? And
on the biggest night of ever,
which everybody else who they let have their WrestleMania moments where to escalate them, that was my WrestleMania moment with them. And that's why I always say, you guys think I'm lying and making up all this stuff and bitter and angry. I'm not. I'm giving you guys facts of a real life situation that happened with my ankle and sharing it, and it really sucks. And I talked to Eddie about that, and I would be lying to you if I said it doesn't still bother me to this day, because I know how hard I worked and to overcome that ankle injury and to return back to wrestling. But you look at it still, even with all that, and just look in the crowd, they've still forgiven it time and time again. And even that, the next night, I got him up afterwards. And then the next night with the Cena heel turn, that was the loudest reaction of the entire show, and that I'd had at my point in my career. They were with me.
Before you even say that, I have a question about the finish thing. One thing that stood out to me is that not only does it happen where Mark grabs the ropes and you essentially mess up your own finish
and get pinned by it, by the way. Not even get picked up and slammed in his own finish, but embarrassed. I knocked myself out trying to do my own finisher.
But in addition to that, a long time period, at least enough time goes by where Mark takes a bit of time to cover you.
Yeah.
And I kind of wonder because it's kind of an old thing with wrestling where if you know you're going to win, you can go for the pinfall. DDP said it before too, where there was times
desperation to win, where you're I feel like an urgency to win.
Yeah, and if you're okay, he collapsed, I would think in the right frame of mind it would be a quick scuttle to pin you to beat you, since that is the actual finish. If you watch it back, the collapse happens, and there's at least a moment of breathing room and a slow crawl over pinning you. And I thought that to me, of all things, was the oddest thing, where there was a pause in between there. Do you have any thoughts on that, or you just
I never even knew that. I was lying there just praying to God to get this over with, because I knew I had to pick him up one more time. And I knew it was wrong, and I knew there was nothing I could do about it. And that's what it was one of the worst nights of my life. That's why Wrestlemania, and I told it always was. And then he put me on the pre-show the next 3 years because they didn't want to reward me for it. He knew how bad it bothered me, and it fucking sucked.
Okay,
but it was not a good moment whatsoever. But the crowd the following night didn't give. Everything could have been redeemed
completely
up with all that with a strong heel turn. But as you saw, there was never any plans for that, and it was how can we sabotage this character? And then they took away all the merchandise, and there's going to be the people out there that say I'm bitching and whining and complaining and blah 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 blah. We're recounting past events that really happened. I'm thankful for all of it because it's made me who I am now. But it's what happened, and there's a big portion of people that do want to hear about it because they don't understand. So.
Yeah, I mean, and that's as far as up to that moment, since that's all the notes that I had up to that point. So
yeah, but it was. The cool thing is, I remember I actually sent it to your school. I got the banner from the being on the street of New York City. I sent it to you.
Yeah.
Did you ever get that up or no?
I do. It's actually still right next to me. I haven't put it up yet.
Okay.
It's literally still right next to me right now.
I mailed that out to you there because I had it. I used to have it hanging up, and I was just like, I'm fucking sick and fucking looking at this. It really, I was just like, I had it hanging. I thought it was cool at first, and now I was just like, I'm over it. And I sent it to you to put up in a wrestling school where it's better suited.
Yeah, we will.
So. But yeah, that was it on that. I don't know what else really happened that night. I honestly, I've shut out. Like I haven't watched it back, any of it. I can't. It was such all that whole period. And
is that the only thing you can't watch back, or is there a couple moments that you're just like, I can't?
I watched that ladder match back for the first time with the Shield. Because it just hurts watching everything in that period, seeing. Because I remember I'm always so positive, and I always will try to find. I was like, I'll be fine. I could overcome this. They're just doing this for this. I would make reasons up to justify why it was happening, even though a lot of the other guys were coming in and they were like, "What? This is fucked up." And it's just it is what it is. And you learn from it, and you make the most of it. And eventually, I'm in a great position in life right now. So because of that drive and motivation that helped, I always had, but it brought it to a whole other level seeing that. So,
all right.
Yeah. So I think with that, go ahead and we'll end with that tonight. And you got anything else you'd like to say plug-wise, social media?
No, that's it. I hope see everyone in Orlando this week. And should be a hell of a week. And you can follow me on all platforms at Buck Never Stops.
And I am at Ryback22 on Twitter, the big guy Ryback22 on Instagram, and Ryback247 on Snapchat. Guys, thank you very much for listening. You have just listened to another episode of Conversation with the Big Guy.